Praise Father and Son and Holy Ghost. Praise God, from whom all blessings flow. Praise God, all creatures here below. Praise Him above all heavenly hosts. Praise Father and Son and Holy Ghost. You're rich in mercy and full of love. Never running out, running out on us. Your grace is always more than enough. Yeah, never running out, running out on us. Let the people say, oh, 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 oh. Never running out, running out on us. Yeah, it is, running out on us. You're thankful for that today, that the grace of God isn't running out on you or me or anybody in the whole wide world. That God so loved the world that He came to give His Son, that anybody who would believe in Him, regardless of what your past looks like. Today I stand before you, 22 years sobriety, 22 years of sobriety, and Jesus changed my life all those years ago. And when I got sober and I got saved, I wanted to tell everybody what Jesus had done for me. And so we started Unspoken and started traveling around from coffee shops to open mic nights, New York City, subways, nursing homes, anywhere we could go and say, listen to what God has done. And tonight, or this morning, we usually play at night, so you're going to continue to hear me say it's 20 years of saying tonight. But this afternoon, we're just praying that there is just a powerful breakthrough. You know, we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, but principalities, things that are going on behind the scenes. And, you know, people aren't the enemy. The enemy is the enemy. And so we carry the love of God and the light of the world. And may people see that in us. Now, anybody here know what AA is or any kind of Celebrate Recovery or recovery program? Okay, so this song is a tribute to all of my brothers and sisters in recovery, and it's called More Church Than Church, and it goes like this. I wish Sunday morning could feel more like Tuesday nights. 12 steps down to a basement under harsh fluorescent lights. All ages, all races, all walks of life at 6 p.m. Stumbling in to keep ourselves from stumbling again. Strangers spilling secrets in a circle without walls. Trying to reach for Jesus instead of drugs and alcohol. All sitting in a gray folding chair, sipping coffee in a white styrofoam cup. Ain't nobody throwing stones up in here. Can't judge cause we know we all messed up. Ain't no steeple, just broken people wearing no shame tags on our shirts. Where the truth is, the truth heals more than the truth hurts. Yeah, that's more church than church. Now check this out. Suit and tie, tattoo sleeve, don't matter, wear whatever. Bring your baggage, you ain't got to have it all together. 20 years without a drop or fresh off of a vendor. No need to pretend in a room full of pretenders. No, strangers in recovery, confessing we are weak. Desperate for forgiveness and accountability. All sitting in a gray folding chair, sipping coffee in a white styrofoam cup. Ain't nobody throwing stones up in here. Can't judge cause we know we all messed up. Ain't no steeple, just broken people wearing no shame tags on our shirts. Where the truth is, the truth heals more than the truth hurts. That's right, and that's more church than church. One day at a time, yeah, one day at a time. We're praying Jesus, quench our my kind of church. That's right. Say, one day at a time, yeah, one day at a time. We're praying, Jesus, quench our thirst. And that's my kind of church. Because where the truth is, the truth heals more than the truth hurts. Did you hear that? Where the truth is, the truth heals more than the truth hurts. All sitting in a gray folding chair, sipping coffee in a white styrofoam cup. Ain't nobody throwing stones up in here, cause we all know rock bottom sucks. Ain't no steeple, just broken people wearing those shame tags on our shirts. Where the truth is, the truth heals more than the truth hurts. That's right, and that's more church than church. One day at a time, yeah, one day at a time. We're praying, Jesus, quench our thirst. Yeah, that's my kind of church. Ooh yeah, one day at a time, one day at a time. Praying, Jesus, quench our thirst. And that's more church than church. This nation needs one thing, and that's Jesus Christ. Amen. That's what we're praying here. And I work so hard, trying to open every door. Search near and far, turning over every stone. And I close my eyes, still I find no rest for a restless heart, yeah. And all I've been chasing, putting my faith in, let it fade, let it break into pieces. Just give me Jesus, and just give me Jesus. Yes, you're all we want, God. And there's nothing I desire that can't be found in you. And you're everything I've ever needed. And just give me Jesus. Take on my pride, my fear, my plan. And this house I build, yeah, on troubled sand. And if I gained the world, it would never be you. It could never be enough. Just give me Jesus. Oh, and just give me Jesus. Oh, and there's nothing I desire that can't be found in you. And you're everything I've ever needed. And just give me Jesus. Just give me Jesus. Yeah, you know I want you. Am I searching, trying to be perfect? All the fear, all the lies I believed in. Oh, and all I've been chasing, I'm putting my faith in. Let it fade, let it fall into pieces. I've had bad days, tasted victory and defeat. I've had problems, big as planets, turn to pebbles when you speak. I've had nothing to my name, never lacked for anything, no, 'cause you were there with me, yeah. You've been my savior, sustainer when I'm at my end, and my healer, redeemer again and again, and my mother and my father, brother, sister, and friend, and everything I've needed, Lord, you've always been, and everything I've needed, Lord, you've always been. And when I stand before you guilty, oh, your mercy bears my blame. When in pride I think I'm worthy, you point out the price you paid. When I wander far away, you keep calling out my name, and you don't give up on me. You've been my savior, sustainer when I'm at my end, and my healer, redeemer again and again, and my mother and my father, brother, sister, and friend, and everything I've needed, Lord, you've always been, and everything I've needed, Lord, you've always been. You are my strength, my rock, and Jesus, you are my hope and my song. Jesus, before my heart knows what to pray, you've already made a way. And Jesus, you've been my savior, sustainer when I'm at my end, and my healer, redeemer again and again, and my mother and my father, brother, sister, and friend, and everything I've needed, Lord, you've always been, and everything I've needed, Lord, you've always been. Oh yes, you have, Jesus, every day of my life, God. Everything I've needed, Lord, you've always been. You've been my mother, my father, my sister, friend. You know what I need before I do. And the answer is you, God. The answer is you, God. Everything I've needed, always been. You know, I know we're here this afternoon to stand up for what we believe that God values, and we as believers that value. But today I just want to remind you that you may be standing in the gap, but maybe there's somebody in this place tonight or this afternoon that just needs a touch from God, that needs to be reminded that He sees you, He knows you, because you're dealing with things. You're missing the mark. There's sin in your life. Well, welcome to being human. But the beautiful thing that makes Christianity different than every other religion is that we don't have to make our way to God. He sent His Son down for us. And that anybody believes in Him, his sins are washed away, past, present, and future. And I just pray that today somebody encounters or experiences the presence of God to remind you that you're not alone, that He's not mad at you. He hasn't given up on you. Though you feel like you've been climbing up a mountain for some time now, that those who persevere and don't give up, there's a reward. God's going to show up on your behalf. And I don't want to miss this place to stand for principle and truth. That's beautiful. But it's the presence and the power of God that really changes lives. That's just the fact. We're never going to argue somebody into what we believe. We have to say, God, would you move in my neighborhood and with the people that I'm around? Would you move in my life that would spill out? Because that's real power. And I know we have a new administration, and a lot of us are really excited about that. And we've seen God move in the past, and maybe in your life, certainly in our country. But the beautiful thing is He's going to continue to move. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. He's moved then, He'll move now. And so this afternoon, we're just going to play a part of a song, and we're just going to, it says that God inhabits the praise of His people. And that means that God hangs out with people who praise. And I don't know about you, but I'd like to have God in the midst today. That's right. Sing this with me. I've seen you move the mountains, and I believe, yeah, I see you do it again. You made a way when there was no way, and I believe is your faithfulness, your faithfulness, yes, God. And I'm still in your hands, and this is my confidence. You've never failed me yet. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, your faithfulness, oh. And I'm still in your hands, and this is my confidence. You've never failed me yet. No, you haven't, God. You brought me to the edge, but you were still there. You've been my savior, sustainer when I'm at my end, my healer, redeemer again and again, and my mother and my father, brother, sister, and friend. Everything I've needed, Lord, you've always been. And everything I've needed, Lord, you've always been. I heard a Baptist preacher once say, you can bury the workmen, but the work will go on. You know, they tried to bury Jesus, but the grave couldn't hold him, right? They may try to persecute us and stand against us, but we got the living God inside. Check it out. This is our Bible story song. Hey, 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 hey. Now listen up. You see, Stephen was a deacon in Jerusalem, and they dragged him out those city gates to try and quiet him. And when Stephen preached, those Pharisees, you know, they started throwing stones. And before he died, he raised his eyes and saw Jesus on the throne. He said, you can bury the workmen, but the work will go on. Oh, you can silence the voices, but you can't stop the song. When the Spirit's moving, His will be done. Oh, you can bury the workmen, but the work will go on. Yo, John, you want to sing it?
James was sent to heaven, but the angel carried sword. And Peter, he was crucified like his beloved Lord. Oh, the Roman Colosseum, lions and the fires, those gates of hell did not prevail. They fan the flames higher. 'Cause you can
bury the workmen, but the work will go on. And you can silence the voices, but you can't stop the song. And when the spirits are moving, His will be done. Oh, you can bury the workmen, but the work will. Now check this out, my favorite part. And when they lowered Jesus, you know they laid him in a grave. You see, they thought that it was over, that his name would fade away. But Jesus wasn't listening. You know he rose to life again, 'cause God is not persuaded by the arrogance of man. And yeah, you can bury the workmen, but the work will go on. And you can silence the voices, but you can't stop the song. And when the Spirit's moving, His will gon' be done. Oh, you can bury the workmen, but the work will go on. Yeah. You know His work will go on.
a moving, His will gonna be done. Yeah, you can bury the workmen, but the work will go on. How many people believe that Jesus is the cure? He's the answer. He's the solution. All right, sing it with me if you know it. And we're all related, brothers and strangers. The king and the beggar bleed the same, yeah. We've all got a sickness, a terminal condition, and we medicate it, but the pain won't go away. I see the eyes of a million faces, looking for it in a million places. Only one can save us, Jesus, you are. Everybody's searching for it, everybody's reaching out, yeah. Trying to grab a hold of something real. The cure, only you can satisfy us, fill up the void inside us. Never been a heart you couldn't heal. You are the and you are the doctor, you're the healer and father to the orphan in a lonely world. We fell into darkness, we were lost till you found us. You're the remedy, we're looking now, sing. You are the joy. Everybody's searching for it, everybody's reaching out, yeah. Trying to grab a hold of something real. You are the cure, satisfy us, fill up the void inside us. Never been a heart you couldn't heal. You are the cure for the broken, the hope for a hopeless world. Yeah, you are only hope, only hope. The meaning, the purpose, the peace that will make us whole. Hey, you don't have to search no more. I believe that today. Come on now. You don't have to search no more. You are the cure. Yeah. Never been a heart you couldn't heal. You are the cure. Yeah. Only been a heart you couldn't heal. You are the. That's right. This year's felt like 4 seasons of winter, and you've been only one, always always climbing, always second guessing the timing. But God has a plan, a purpose, and you are His child, and don't you forget. He put that hunger in your heart, He put that fire in your soul. His love is the reason, yeah, to keep on believing. And when you feel like giving up, when you feel like giving in, His love is the reason to keep on believing, yeah. If we could pull back, Lord, the curtain of heaven, then we would see His hand on everything, every hour, every minute, every second. He's always been in it. Don't let a shadow of a doubt take hold. Hold on to what you already know. He put that hunger in your heart, He put that fire in your soul. His love is the reason. Keep on believing, yeah. And when you
What he started in you, yeah, he's gonna finish. Put that hunger in your heart, that fire in your soul. It's love is the reason. Keep on believing. When you feel like giving up, when you feel like giving in, it's love is the reason. Keep on believing. It's the reason. It's the reason. His love is the reason. Yeah, it is now. Say. It's the reason. It's the reason. His love is the reason. All right. We got one or two more songs here. If you know this, sing it with us. One. This world can be cold and bitter. Feels like we're in the dead of winter, waiting on something better. Yeah. But am I really gonna hide forever and over again? I hear your voice in my ear. Let your light shine, let your light shine for all to see. And start a fire in my soul. Fan the flame and make it grow. So there's no doubt or denying, no. And let it burn so brightly that everyone around can see that it's you that we need. And start a fire in me. It only takes a spark to start a whole blaze. It only takes a little faith. Let it start right here. March for life, y'all. And these old walls will never be the same. And over again, I hear your voice in my ear. And they need to know, and I need to go. Spirit, won't you fall on my heart now? Start a fire in my soul. Fan the flame and make it grow. So there's no doubt or denying, no. And let it burn so brightly that everyone around can see that it's you that we need. And start a fire in me. You are the fire, you are the flame, you are the light on the darkest day. We have the hope, we bear your name, yeah we do. Start a fire, and you are the fire, you are the flame, you are the light on the darkest day. We have the hope, we bear your name, carry the news that you have come to save, yeah. Oh, see, only Jesus can save, yeah. One more time, sing it. Start a fire in my soul, fan the flame and make it grow. So there's no doubt or denying. Let it burn so brightly that everyone around can see that it's you that we need. Start a fire in me. Yeah, start it in me. That's right. Come on, boys, play that. All right, so I want to do one thing here in the Capitol. We can't have an event like this without reading the Bible. Guess what? You know, you got all, the world wants to tell us what truth is relative, and truth is whatever you want to believe, but we know that the truth is right here in the scriptures. And I'm going to read this right here for us today. It's in Psalm 139. It says, "You made all the delicate inner parts of my body and knit me together in my mother's womb. Thank you, God, for making me so wonderfully complex." Somebody thank God that he made you wonderfully complex, that you're a work, a masterpiece. And then it says, "You watched me. You watched me as I was being formed in utter seclusion, as I was woven together in the dark of the womb. You saw me before I was born, and every day of my life is recorded before a single day has passed. And lastly, how precious are your thoughts about me, O God. They cannot be numbered. I can't even count them. They outnumber the grains of sand." And we wanna find out, is our unborn children valuable to God? Well, we see it right here. David says, "You saw me when I was in my mother's womb, and my days were planned out before they happened." Yes, life is valuable from conception. Yes, we have to stand up from the truth. And yes, we must not be bullied. And yes, we must love people that don't agree with us too. In the Bible here, it says that, you know what? The world knows that we're Christian first by the way we love each other, and then by the way we love others. And so I just wanted to read the scripture to let us know, hey, you know what? It's proof. There is value in all life, and that we need to stand up. And just to let you know, I'm proud of every single one of you. I was walking around the city earlier, and I saw all these young people standing up for what they believe, and I was just so blessed by it. It's so wonderful. Proud in each and every one of you. Proud of every single ministry that's out here working. And let's go. We've got 2 minutes. I think we can get this song done in 2.5 minutes. This song is called "Where My Joy Comes From," and we're going to leave you with this. Yes. Yeah. It's like this. Can you sing? Don't worry about a thing, no, because every little thing is gonna be alright. Hey, sing it now. Don't worry about a thing, yeah, and it's gonna be alright. All right, now our song, it goes like this. See, I don't wanna waste my time trying to be a star. I wanna make you famous, show them who you are. And you're the king over can't be done's. I'm living proof for the hopeless one. I'm a new creation, a rebel redeemed. Somebody call me Paul, I can do all things. I got a light in my eye, and I'll be spending my life pointing everybody to you. And Lord, make me like the moon, reflecting the sun. I let the whole world know, let them know where my joy come from. Yeah, I tell them that it's you. You're the only one. I let the whole world know, let them know where my joy come from. Now, I'm gonna sing, I'm gonna dance, and it got nothing to do with my circumstance. From the valley low to the mountain top, it don't matter where I am, don't matter where I'm not. And more than a feeling, more than emotion, is the glass half full? No, it's overflowing. And I see the light, and I'll be spending my life pointing everybody to you. And Lord, make me like the moon, reflecting the sun. I let the whole world know, let them know where my joy come from. That's right. I tell them that it's you. You're the only one. Yeah. I let the whole world know, let them know where my joy comes from. Now this is your part. Sing it with me like this. I got that joy, 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 joy down down in my heart. Where? Down in my heart. That's right. To stay. One more time, sing with me. I got that joy, 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 joy down in my heart. Yeah, down in my heart. To stay. One more time. And Lord, make me like the moon, reflecting the sun. Yeah. I let the whole world know, I'll let them know where my joy come from. It's you. I tell them that it's you. I tell them I'm a new creation. Hey, yeah. I let the whole world know, let them know where my joy come from, where my joy comes from. Hey, thank y'all so much. Much love. We're Unspoken. Love you guys. We'll see you.
Thank you, Unspoken. Let's hear it for Unspoken. I cannot see the end of this crowd right now. Who's ready to march today? If you want abortion to be unthinkable and illegal, let me hear you scream. All right, y'all, we got an amazing lineup. We got some special guests you might have heard about. We're going to get this all set up for our rally. Hang tight, stay warm, and we'll be back in a few minutes. Thank you. Woo!
The Lutheran Church Missouri Synod is about the truth. That is Christ himself. Everything we say and do flows from Jesus and his mercy toward us. When we march for life, when we pray on the sidewalks, when we serve in pro-life efforts, we share truth, love, and mercy. We say, please tell me your story. We listen, encourage, and care in real, tangible ways. Because the truth is, Lutherans care deeply for women, families, and babies. We love because Christ loves. We care too much about them to allow lies to prevail. So even when others cannot see past a destructive culture of death, we are ready to hear their stories and share what's really, truly true. These stories may be hard, but what's even more difficult is leaving people alone to suffer in a life built on lies, a life built on death rather than a life built on truth. Christ laid down his life for us, so we love in deed and in truth.
Being on the right side of history isn't always popular or easy.
Through the third trimester, the bill has
the abortion
no limit.
procedure, the babies were born
Pregnancy
alive.
resource centers are on high alert.
Pro-abortionists have firebombed a pregnancy center.
When culture is spreading lies
Hey, I know you're in the middle of something, but I wonder if you'd just take a few seconds to pray with me real quick. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord Jesus, come to us now. Help us to surrender ourselves completely to you. Help us to listen to your voice, even when we're distracted or tired. We pray this in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Thank you so much. I just want to encourage you that if you want to join me in more prayer, check out Hallow. It's the #1 prayer app in the world.
When we're just 4 weeks old, we begin growing our hands. Hands which will do great things, will shape the world. Who knows what these hands will do if given the chance? A 100% pro-life campus where we cherish life at every stage. The Catholic University of America, where pro-life leaders are made.
For over 25 years, Alliance Defending Freedom has been a champion of the pro-life cause. We've defended hundreds of doctors, pregnancy centers, and other pro-life heroes from government overreach and coercion. We have won nearly 80% of our cases, including many precedent-setting wins at the U.S. Supreme Court. As attorneys, we protect those who protect life. We believe that life will triumph in the end. Go to adflegal.org.
The March for Life brings us together under one voice to show the world that every mom, dad, and child, born or preborn, truly matters.
The March for Life is the single greatest witness to the cause of constitutional justice in America.
It's the single largest gathering of pro-life individuals in the country. And if you haven't experienced the March for Life, you are missing a treat.
I march for vulnerable women and children. And the march has impacted me, noting that I am not alone. Hundreds of thousands, millions of people support life, and it shows up in the march.
we peacefully marched so that all, and especially the unborn, might one day enjoy the equal protection of the law.
I march for life because life is beautiful, and abortion is the human rights abuse of our time, so I can't not march for life.
I march for moms and their babies because life is so, so beautiful.
We have been discipled in a pro-abortion culture for over 50 years. That culture will only change through unwavering courage, tenacity, and a faithful witness of the power of truth and real love.
And I march for all of our members, people that are able to come to the march and those who can't. And I march for the least of these.
I march for life because the lives of innocent members of our human family, the unborn child, those with disabilities, and the elderly, are precious and endangered. And I will continue to fight for life because it's the right thing to do.
The Knights of Columbus has always been committed to protecting the vulnerable, particularly unborn children and their mothers. That's why we march, and that's why we will continue to march in Washington, D.C. and in the states until the right to life is protected and abortion is unthinkable.
I will be in the 2025 March for Life for the same reasons that I've attended many before. Number one, we can't concede any more ground in the public square. We have to stand up for the unborn. And secondly, I'm always encouraged, especially by the hundreds of thousands of young Americans who understand that when we stand up for the unborn, we are doing God's will and we're saving this republic.
We march because every life is precious
and deserves the right to life.
May we courageously continue to march across generations for every generation to come.
The country and world changed on June 24th.
With the overturn of Roe and the Dobbs decision, the states are all the more important.
After the Dobbs decision, abortion policy is returned to the elected representatives of the people. And so being here in state capitals to stand up for life is more important than it's ever been before.
We are absolutely thrilled to welcome you here to the 3rd annual California March for Life.
We are here today to be a voice for the voiceless in Michigan, here in Lansing.
Now is the time to change hearts and minds in the state of Colorado. This was a wonderful day for an inaugural Colorado March for Life.
7 out of 10 women who get abortions are coerced into abortion.
It can be easy to fall into despair and hopelessness just given the legislation and the laws that we're up against. It's important to speak truth, to go out there, to be that voice, to be that hope, to be that light in the darkness.
And while the march began as a response to Roe, we don't end as a response to Roe being overturned. Why? Because we're not yet done.
The main goal here is abortion becomes unthinkable.
The Lutheran Church Missouri Synod is about the truth. That is Christ himself. Everything we say and do flows from Jesus and his mercy toward us. When we march for life, when we pray on the sidewalks, when we serve in pro-life efforts, we share truth, love, and mercy. We say, please tell.
Being on the right side of history isn't always popular or easy.
good afternoon, everyone. And a very warm welcome to those of you who are here in person. It's a little chilly out there today, but I hope that you're staying warm in your hearts. We are so, so happy to have you. I am Jeannie Mancini, and I'm honored to serve as president of the March for Life. And on behalf of our entire wonderful, hardworking team, I would like to welcome you to the 52nd March for Life, the largest annual human rights demonstration in the world. And I want to thank you. I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for being part of history by being part of the March for Life. To kick off our rally today, we're going to join in singing
Being
the
on the
national
right side of
anthem, and
history
it's going to be led by soloist Julie Stone, followed by Andrew Hodson of the University of Wisconsin-Madison Knights of Columbus Council. Please give a warm welcome to Julie and Andrew.
Twilight's last gleaming, who's brought stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets with glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free? And the home of the
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Andrew, for leading our pledge, and to Julie for that absolutely stunning performance. Each year, we are grateful for the collaborative witness of the Orthodox bishops and the Roman Catholic bishops leading us in opening prayer for the rally. I'm very happy to welcome to the podium a friend of mine and a wonderful, wonderful bishop, man of God, Archbishop Joseph Naumann. Archbishop, yes, our friends in Kansas City, you know him well. Archbishop Naumann from Kansas City in Kansas, and he's a member of the Committee of the Pro-Life Activities for the United States Catholic Conference of Bishops. Archbishop Naumann is joined on stage by a delegation of Orthodox bishops and Roman Catholic bishops in offering our opening prayer. Hello.
Thanks. Yeah, thank you. Well, it's a privilege to be with you and to offer this prayer today. I'm substituting for our pro-life committee chair, Bishop Dan Thomas, who had a death in his family, so couldn't be with us. But I just want to say, Jeannie Mancini, she's one of my heroes, and we thank her for her leadership. So As we open our rally prayer, I welcome His Grace Bishop John of the Antiochian Orthodox Archdiocese of North America, representing the Assembly of Canonical Orthodox Bishops of the United States of America. And we're joined by a delegation of brother Orthodox and Catholic bishops from all across the country. I especially welcome all of you who have gathered in this vast crowd as we stand together to proclaim our belief in the dignity of the child in the womb and to witness to the sanctity of all human life. This is why we march. And so let us pray. Almighty and eternal God, author and sustainer of the gift of human life, we, your sons and daughters in Jesus, your Son, come before you as stewards of this great gift. Hear our humble and heartfelt prayer. May we never fail to protect and value human life from the first moment of conception through to the moment of natural death. May our efforts rightly include legal protection as well as constant prayer. May we continue to do penance for the cruel and tragic offenses against the divine dignity of human life, especially by abortion. May we be instruments of your love and compassion for any pregnant mother in need and all those who have been wounded by abortion. We turn to you, Father of us all, for your grace and power to fuel anew in our time the ever-present need to build up the culture of life. May this culture of life bring fresh energy for pro-life initiatives in every part of our nation. May this culture of life find new strength among families, in our homes, our schools, our parishes, our workplaces, indeed among all men and women in our human community. May this culture of life bring aid and assistance for those whose lives are in any distress, especially in facing new threats against the dignity of human life. Ever-living God, pour out your abundant blessing upon all who will march for life today and upon all who join of the crusade for life. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Archbishop. Well, thank you so much, Archbishop Naumann, and our Orthodox and Catholic bishops. We're so very happy, very, very pleased to have you here and grateful. So whether this is your first March for Life or you're a seasoned veteran, and I see some of you out there that are seasoned veterans right in the front row here, but I met many in the hotel this morning that this is their first March for Life. I just really do want to honor you and thank you for making history by being part of our world's largest annual human rights demonstration. You, by being here, are advocating for the poorest of the poor. You're advocating that social justice begins in the womb. Thank you for standing on the right side of history and for being here. We are so very, very grateful. The theme for the 52nd Annual March for Life is life, why we march. It's a very simple reminder of the basic and beautiful truths about why we're all here today. The first and most foundational point of our theme is that every human being, regardless of race, regardless of disability, regardless of religion, gender, size, or stage of development in the womb, every single life has inherent human dignity, and it is just that case. Marchers, can I ask you a question? Do you believe, so I'm gonna ask you a question and then I'm gonna ask you to answer. So marchers, do you believe that all human life from the moment of conception has inherent human dignity? Let me hear you say yes. Oh, come on, you guys can do better than that. Come on, let's try that again. Let me hear you say yes. Yes, okay. For the second point of our theme, science and technology. Marchers, I believe in miracles, but you know what? Even if you don't, science is on the side of life. Science shows that life begins at the moment of conception and fertilization. From that time on, we know that a new human life in the womb possesses its own genetically unique DNA and is different from its mother and father. Because of modern technology, we can see at just 6 weeks, expectant parents can view their child's ultrasound and see that a baby's heart is beating. And by 12 weeks, other organs have formed. And these are only a handful of the many moments of gestational development that give witness to the inherent dignity of life that is unrepeatable, valuable, and entirely worthy of our love and protection. So let me ask you, marchers, do you believe that science and technology are on the side of life? Let me hear you say yes. That's a little better, thank you. The third point, the pro-life movement is at its heart with every woman and for every child. Tragically, we live in a culture that presents confusing, misleading, and even false messages to women in this regard. And one of the worst and most offensive messages is that abortion is necessary for a woman to flourish and succeed. Yet, the tragic reality is that 60% of women who have chosen abortion say that they would have preferred to choose life if they had the requisite financial and emotional support. Women need to know that they are strong and capable, and that the pro-life community will love and support them long after the child is born. And that's why there are well over 3,400 community-based pregnancy care centers across America that help women, thank you, that help women and families who want to keep their children. And a whopping 83% of Americans on both sides of the political aisle support the work of pregnancy care centers. We just saw this week from a Marist poll that came out thanks to the Knights of Columbus. Marchers, let me ask you, will you commit to supporting women who are facing an unexpected pregnancy? Let me hear you say yes. Let's try that one again. Let me hear you say yes. On the fourth and final point of the theme, the power of telling your story. For over a decade, we at the March for Life have used the hashtag #WhyWeMarch on all social media related to the March for Life. Why? Because your stories matter. Your stories can change people's hearts and minds on this issue. At the March for Life, we're in the business of changing hearts and minds. Our goal is to make abortion unthinkable. Your stories will help us reach that goal. Why are you here? Why are you pro-life? Each of you has a reason, and when you share that reason, your witness makes a difference. Marchers, can you commit today in the next 2 hours on social media to using the hashtag #WhyWeMarch and telling your story? Let me hear you say yes. Thank you. Now, I'd like to show you a video about our March for Life theme, Life, Why We March.
Being on the right side of history isn't always popular or easy.
Through the third trimester, the bill has
the abortion
no limit.
procedure, the babies were born Pregnancy alive. resource centers are on high alert.
Pro-abortionists have firebombed a pregnancy center.
When culture is spreading lies about the dignity of life, and it seems like we're in a losing battle, we might feel like giving up. But we won't. This is why we march. Because lives like these turn into these. And that is why we march.
Only one march has happened every year since 1974, and in just a few hours, thousands of marchers will fill the streets of Washington, D.C.
We're here to march and to show solidarity for the baby in the womb.
We march to be a voice for the voiceless.
We march to end abortion.
We march for both mom and baby.
I just want every single baby to be valued and every single woman to know that she's important and she should be loved.
They're partaking in the annual March for Life, the largest human rights display in the world.
because every single life deserves a chance. That is what real human flourishing looks like. And that is why we march.
I accepted the position as president of the March for Life in 2012. So this is my 13th March for Life leading the organization. There have been so many opportunities, responsibilities, and challenges that have come with my role. But one of the absolute highlights, something that always gives me joy and hope, is you, the marchers, the advocates, the mothers, and the babies. Your love, your enthusiasm, your courage, your compassion. You have motivated me and our fantastic March for Life team and board. Each year leading this organization, I have felt that God was giving me a vision for what I thought the March for Life should be and could be under my direction. Over the past couple of years, I sensed that the March was at a very good point with so much growth, and that I'd done what God had asked of me in this role, and that it was time for me to explore other paths. I and our board prayed for leadership. We prayed for the new right leader. God has answered these prayers. Over the past few months, I've begun working closely with my successor. She is a woman of strong faith, compassion, conviction for the pro-life cause. Soon after today, the new March for Life president will be Jenny Bradley Lichter. And over the past 3 months, Jenny and I have become great colleagues and very good friends. I am confident that she is the woman meant to lead the March for Life in this next season. And I will stay involved on the board as well. Regardless of who is leading the organization, the March for Life remains steadfast and true, and our goals remain the same. We will continue to provide a place for the real heroes, you all, the marchers, to give public witness here in our nation's capital and throughout the country at our state marches by witnessing to moms and babies. Thank you. When I say that this job has been the honor of a lifetime, words could not possibly express the depth of my respect, gratitude, and appreciation for all of you and for this incredible role. Thank you. Now, I'm very excited to welcome to the podium, and then I'll be back, our new president-elect of the March for Life, Jenny Bradley Lichter.
Hello, marchers. I'm Jenny, and in a few days, I will be the new president of the March for Life, taking over from a hero of mine and of all of ours, Jeannie Mancini. This is my first time standing up here at the March for Life, but it is not my first march. I wonder if there's anyone here who came to DC on an overnight bus ride. Well, that was me 24 years ago for my first March for Life. I was a college freshman at Notre Dame. Go Irish, I see you out there. I rode the bus through the night, slept on the floor at a Catholic parish across the river, and had an absolutely amazing experience at the march. Since then, I've been back so many times with classmates, friends, coworkers. Then I started bringing my husband, Brian. Where is he? Here he is. That's Brian. And in recent years, our 3 kids. You guys want to wave? But I've never forgotten my first march and the life-changing impact it had on me when I was still a teenager. I never could have dreamed on that day that I would eventually lead the March for Life and get to greet my fellow marchers and my friends from up here. I know that in this crowd today there are so many future pro-life leaders, maybe even my successor as president of the March for Life. I know that there are so many current pro-life leaders here, including so many young leaders who witness to people around you about the beauty and the preciousness of every single human life, no matter the circumstances. You are here because you all know that unborn people are people too, and they have a right to life just like the rest of us. You know that the wantedness of a human being doesn't determine our value. You know that it's right and good to stand up for people who are too small to defend themselves. You know that abortion hurts women, that abortion hurts everyone it touches. I call you leaders precisely because you know these truths and you aren't afraid to say them out loud. But lately, many of the loudest voices have been shouting the lie that women need access to abortion. So I want to talk directly to all of the young women here who are being targeted with that message. Ladies, hear this. Loud voices might have told you that being a mother will hold you back, that having a baby at the wrong time will derail your education or your career prospects or even your shot at happiness, that your own future children are the enemies of your flourishing and fulfillment, or that your ability to bear children is your greatest weakness. You might have heard voices telling you that you're not strong enough to be a mom and still follow your dreams, that you're not strong enough, period. I am here to tell you that anyone who says those things is lying to you. You are strong enough. Motherhood is so empowering. It will make you tougher and happier and more fulfilled than you ever imagined possible. Motherhood will stretch you. Your heart will grow and grow and grow, no matter the circumstances. And if you are ever in a situation where you can't care for your baby, you are strong enough to entrust your child to another loving family through adoption. Don't ever let anyone tell you that you aren't. Young men, I want to talk to you for a minute too. Don't let anyone tell you that the way to love the women in your lives is to support abortion, let alone push them towards abortion when things look tough. People are lying to you when they will not make you happy. The women you love need men who are strong and confident enough to embrace the beauty and the messiness of life, no matter the circumstances. That's real love and real strength. Before I close, I have an action item for each person here. When you get home, take a few minutes to get to know the resources available in your area for pregnant women who need a hand. Because you never know when someone in your life might confide in you about an unexpected pregnancy. Be ready for that. Commit yourself to be ready for that. Know who they can call or who you can call for them to get medical care, parenting classes, diapers, wipes, baby clothes. And be ready to be the person they can turn to for a hug. Be ready to be the voice telling them that they are strong enough. Since I was announced as the next president of the March for Life, some people have asked me if we're done marching because Roe versus Wade was overturned. What do we think about that? No, of course we're not done. We will keep marching here in Washington until abortion is not only illegal, but unthinkable. And we still have work to do. So we are so not done, marchers. I am certainly not done. I'm just getting started here at the March for Life. I will see you all back here next year and every year until every woman and every baby is loved and protected. We will keep marching together. Thank you.
Okay, isn't she awesome? Yeah, I feel the same way. All right. Joining me now, they're going to be coming out here on stage, are your courageous pro-life leaders and members of the United States Congress and Senate, who in fact just voted this week to protect life. Yeah. Please, give it up for these guys and gals, please. I'd like to take a moment to recognize and thank each one of them, not only for marching with us, but for their work protecting both mother and child. So we are joined by Senator James Langford from Oklahoma. And if you're from the state of this representative, be sure to really cheer loudly here. Okay, anyone from Alabama for Senator Katie Britt? Senator Joni Ernst from Iowa. Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith from Mississippi. Senator Pete Ricketts from Nebraska. And moving to the U.S. House of Representatives, Congressman Andy Biggs from Arizona. Congresswoman Julie Fedorchak from North Dakota. A little closer to home, Congressman Andy Harris from Maryland. Congressman Bob Latta from Ohio. Yeah, got a lot from Ohio. Congressman John McGuire from Virginia. Congressman Bob Onder from Missouri. We'll be hearing from him in a little bit. Congressman Chris Smith from New Jersey. Congressman Derek Van Orden from Wisconsin. We're also blessed to have among us today Governor Jeff Landry from Louisiana. We are so honored to be joined by these elected leaders who are fighting for life across the nation and on Capitol Hill. I'm also delighted to be joined today by two incredibly dedicated leaders in Congress, Leader Thune and Speaker Johnson. We're honored to have both the U.S. Senate Majority Leader, John Thune of North Dakota, I'm sorry, let me say that one more time. We are most honored to have the U.S. Senate Majority Leader, John Thune of South Dakota, and the Speaker of the United States House of Representatives, Mike Johnson of Louisiana. Let's give it up for these guys. Leader Thune and Speaker Johnson's deep commitment to passion for protecting the unborn and their mothers is truly inspiring and has been on full display these last few days in this new Congress. We are honored to have them both with us. It says a lot. In fact, this is the first time in the history of the March for Life that we've had both the Senate Majority Leader and the Speaker of the House not only on this stage, but speaking to you today. Please help me welcoming these gentlemen to the stage.
Well, good afternoon, pro-lifers. It feels like a South Dakota day here. Ladies and gentlemen, I am grateful to the March for Life for inviting me to be here with you today, and I am nothing short of inspired looking out at all of you. We stand here today you stand here today to bear witness to the beauty and goodness of every human life, to remind people of the great truth upon which our country was founded, that all men and women are created equal and endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, and that among these are the right to life, to liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And I know that some days fighting for the right to life can seem like an uphill battle. But I want you to look around you today at the tens of thousands of Americans who will march up to Capitol Hill with you today, and I want you to remember, you are not alone. You are part of a great movement, united around the truth that every life is precious, that every human being is created in the image and likeness of God and has infinite value and worth. It says in Psalm 139, you form my inward parts, you wove me in my mother's womb. I give thanks to you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made, and my soul knows it very well. I stand with you in this fight, and so do many of my colleagues in Congress, and like you, we will continue to work toward a day when the lives of all human beings are protected, even when they're small, even when they're weak, even when they're vulnerable, especially when they're small or weak or vulnerable. Ladies and gentlemen, the fight may be long, but we have the truth on our side, and I am confident. And I am confident that at the end of the day, truth will win, life will win. Thank you for being here today. God bless you all, and keep fighting for life. Thank you.
Good morning or afternoon. We're so glad that you've joined us here in Washington, D.C. Thank you for making the trip. It really is a great encouragement to all of us to see all of you, so many pro-life Americans here to stand and march for the sanctity of human life. I stand here with these colleagues of mine, these leaders for life, and it means so much to us to see all of you. For 52 years, this event has united millions of pro-life Americans just like us for the common purpose that we believe that every child has the right to life. For 2 decades, before I was elected to Congress, I served as a constitutional law attorney, and I litigated cases to defend our fundamental freedoms like religious liberty and the sanctity of human life. And now in this role that I have as Speaker of the House, I'm working to defend those freedoms in a different way. And the good news is there are many leaders here in Congress, just like the ones standing behind us here, who are committed to doing that same thing. And of course, my friends, it is a new golden age in America, and now we have President Donald J. Trump back in the White House. We are entering a new era, that's right. And with Vice President J.D. Vance, they have already, that's right. This new White House has already shown its resolve. As one of his first official acts, President Trump just freed and pardoned nearly 24 wrongfully imprisoned pro-life activists. And I don't know if you saw his executive order on gender, but it defines life as beginning at conception rather than birth. And in Congress just yesterday, the House passed the Born Alive Survivors Protection Act. It is a matter, that's right, it's a matter of basic humanity to ensure that a child who survives an abortion attempt should be cared for as he or she is lying on the table gasping for breath. But I am so sad to tell you that only one House Democrat joined us in voting for that bill. It's incredible, really, but it demonstrates just how important events like this today are. My friends, House and Senate Republicans are committed to protecting innocent life. We will do it. As we near the 250th anniversary of our great nation, we remember that at the heart of our grand experiment in self-governance is the recognition of the right to life, as Leader Thune just said. America is premised on the self-evident truth that every single person is made in the image of our Creator, God, and thus every single person has inestimable dignity and value. And your value is not related in any way to the color of your skin or what zip code you live in or what you do for a living. Your value is inherent. It is given to you by God. Well, that's right. What we need today is a new generation of leaders and activists like William Wilberforce and Frederick Douglass, men and women who will courageously use their voices to defend others. You, my friends, are part of that generation, and together we are rebuilding a culture of life, and it begins now. By sharing your time and influence, by volunteering to assist pregnancy resource centers, all the very practical ways that we can assist, using our voices, using our influence, it's going to make a difference. I'll close with this. I was born in January 1972. It was almost exactly 1 year before Roe v. Wade became the law of the land. I was the product of an unplanned teen pregnancy, and I am so eternally grateful that my mom and dad ignored all the people who told them to just take care of that problem. And they chose to embrace life and to have me, the first of their 4 children. If they... It's a simple fact, a very simple fact. If they had not done that, then I would not be here. And I often wonder who else we have missed and what those individuals might have contributed to our society and our world, but they were just never given the opportunity. I often wonder when we as a nation will face that reality and turn our hearts back to the self-evident truths that we boldly proclaimed in our nation's birth certificate in 1776, as was said earlier, that all people are created equal and that all people are endowed by our Creator with the right to life. Let's keep working to ensure that more eyes are opened, that more people will embrace those timeless truths, and that all children will be allowed the incomparable gift of being born. Thank you for being part of this movement and this noble cause. God bless this march, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you both, Leader Thune and Speaker Johnson, for your bold leadership on this critical human rights issue. Thank you for prioritizing legislation that will save babies who survive attempted abortions in every state across the nation. We, the pro-life movement, had a very important win in November in Florida, largely I think you know what's coming here. So largely thanks, or I should say who's coming here. Largely thanks to Governor Ron DeSantis. Oh gosh, his strength, commitment, and dedication ensured Florida's moms and babies were protected from the pro-abortion lobby's attempt to enshrine a right to abortion in their state constitution. Folks, let's give a...
Well, thank you for marching for life. You know, I kind of feel like we have a lot of momentum. So there's this issue that the president has introduced, which I'm supportive of, to say the Constitution doesn't give birthright citizenship to people that are here illegally. I think that's the decision of the Constitution, but it's interesting. Not everyone likes that. And so the New York Times had a hit piece going against this, and here was their headline: "Undocumented women ask, will my unborn child be a citizen?" So the New York Times is admitting it's not just a clump of cells. Let's welcome the New York Times to the pro-life movement. Wow. Here is what you should be asking your elected officials to do on the issue of the sanctity of life. Show courage in defense of the unborn. That's what we need from the people that we elect to the office. The sanctity of life does not depend on poll results. It doesn't depend on which way the wind is blowing. It's an enduring truth, and it represents the foundation of our society, which in our original founding document, which we will celebrate next year, the Declaration of Independence, declared that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and we are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights, beginning with the right to life itself. And I remember when Dobbs came down, it was a big victory for the pro-life movement, but a lot of people didn't necessarily know, what were you going to do? What was the left going to do? There were all these things going, and what the left did is they poured hundreds of millions of dollars into these ballot initiatives. And in 2022, they swept the country. I think they won every single ballot initiative in favor of many times abortion on demand until birth. So we then in 2024 cycle, we were facing in Florida one of these initiatives in our state, and it was very deceptively on the ballot. They put $120 million. They put $120 million into enacting this as part of our Constitution. The media was behind them 100%. Now, this would have been the most radical amendment in the nation. It would have led to 40,000 abortions in Florida every single year and would have made Florida the epicenter for abortion tourism because we're in the Southeast, which is the most pro-life part of the country. Yeah. So the stakes were very high here. Now, most elected officials, they'll say, look, what's on the ballot is not their issue. Like, people can decide, and they wash their hands of it, and they walk away. But you know, I remember a great man once said, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. So we were not just going to sit around in Florida and do nothing. We had a responsibility to lead the charge and to do something that most people said was impossible, defeat a pro-abortion ballot measure in a state who, quite frankly, does not necessarily have overwhelming pro-life sentiment. And so this was very difficult because what the pro-abortion side does, they don't tell the truth. They rely on a blizzard of lies to try to be able to enact these things. So if you turned on TV in Florida last fall, you were told that Florida's heartbeat bill somehow didn't allow pregnant women to get health care when they had a miscarriage, or all these other things, which were bold-faced lies. They never made the case as to why you should have elective abortions on demand up until 9 months. They never made that case. They were focusing on running commercials that were lying about what we were doing in Florida. So this was difficult because, you know, people see it on TV and they think it's true. So this was all hands on deck. So we decided we had no choice but to dig in and lead, that we had all these lives that depended on this. So we raised millions of dollars. We mobilized activists, not just in the state of Florida, but around the country to come and help in Florida. Many of you were part of that. We pressured our elected officials to get involved. We barnstormed the state. I had physicians against Amendment 4. We had survivors of abortion talking against Amendment 4. You name it, we did it. We even mobilized our state agencies, and we ran public service announcements dispelling the lies that were being told about Florida's heartbeat bill. But we were doing this, quite frankly, against the tide of public opinion. The wind was in our face. The wind was not in our backs. But you know, it's easy to lead when the wind's at your back. Anybody can do that. The question is, when those things are, when you have all the odds stacked against you, are you going to dig in and are you going to do what's right? And I'm proud to say that we defeated this radical pro-abortion amendment. And we were the first state in the United States to ever defeat one. But here's one of the lessons. We were told since Dobbs by people, political consultants, pundits, many people that are more establishment Republicans, that standing for the right to life was somehow terrible politics, you wouldn't get elected, all this other stuff. Well, I can tell you I'm proof that that's not true, because when Dobbs was overturned, I ran on a pro-life platform on the Heartbeat Protection Act, and I won the largest victory that any Republican has ever won in the history of the state of Florida. And I can report to you now, years later, not one single member of the Florida legislature has been defeated for voting for Florida's Heartbeat Protection Act. Not one has been defeated as a result of that. And even more so, to show you the politics isn't what they say, since I signed Florida's Heartbeat bill a couple years ago, we have gained 800,000 registered Republicans on the Democrats since we signed the legislation. So don't let the naysayers say that you got to toss away these important convictions and that you shouldn't stand for the right to life. We showed how it can be done in the state of Florida. You know, we're proud that in the last 6 years since I've been governor, on issue after issue, we have defeated the political left, getting rid of DEI, beating them on illegal immigration, doing all these different things to the point where Florida is now known as the state where woke goes to die. But let me tell you, since we were able to beat Amendment 4, Florida is not only the place where woke goes to die, it's the place where babies go to live. Thank you. God bless you. Keep up the great work.
Thank you, Governor DeSantis. I am now very happy to introduce to you a longtime friend and an ally to the pro-life movement, almost like no other, except we have so many heroes here today. So I am referring, of course, to U.S. Congressman Chris Smith of New Jersey. Congressman Smith has served as co-chair of the Congressional Pro-Life Caucus for over 4 decades, tirelessly working on behalf of unborn children and their mothers. Please help me in welcoming to the stage Congressman Chris Smith.
Ginny, thank you so very much, and Jenny, thank you. The March for Life Committee, what an amazing march, and you do it with such just power. And all of you here today, thank you so much. You know, I met my dear wife, Marie, 52 years ago in the pro-life movement. So to you young people, it can become a dating service, and we've been working the pro-life issue ever since. But from that perspective, both Marie and I have never been more hope-filled than we are today. Thank you, all of you, for being here. Today's March for Life, in our opinion, is an engraved invitation to each and every one of us to seriously recommit and rededicate ourselves to the defense of the weakest and the most vulnerable. To recommit with love and compassion, even for our opponents who don't wish us well. To tangibly assist women, especially through the extraordinary work of pregnancy care centers, in order to protect their precious babies, but also to protect their lives. Thank you, Knights of Columbus, for getting so many ultrasounds into those pregnancy care centers. And their Marist poll just found that 83% of Americans, and I hope the media will take note, support pregnancy care centers. Pregnancy care centers, as all of you know, are under siege by some politicians, but especially by Planned Parenthood, or should I call Child Abuse Incorporated, an organization that has killed over 10 million babies in their clinics. We must end all taxpayer subsidies to Planned Parenthood. Today, we recommit to exposing abortion methods, which the other side never wants to talk about, to a society that has chosen to be blind to the realities of brutally dismembering helpless babies with sharp curettes, knives, and the kids, as we know, feel pain from at least a 12th week on as they're being dismembered. And also the poisoning of babies by literally starving them to death with the abortion pill. I asked the Secretary General of the United Nations in a meeting, Gutierrez, in my office, do you know how the pill works? because the UN and the WHO, they're all handing it out all over the world. I said it starves the baby to death. I'm all into world hunger, mitigating it. I've offered 2 bills that passed the House on global food security. He says he's for that too. And yet they're starving little children, and then many of those kids are literally flushed down the toilet. We thank President Trump for defeating not 1, but 2 extremist pro-abortion candidates, Clinton and Harris, and for his amazing, amazing defense of unborn children. We give thanks to God that abortion President Joe Biden is gone, but he's gone. But his morbid legacy of packing in the judiciary with abortionists, using executive orders to kill more children, and then integrating one great program like the VA healthcare or global health with abortion. He has hijacked so many programs. President Trump's going to reverse that, and J.D. Vance. Let me just conclude by saying that President Trump has done more to protect innocent children than any other president in history. I've been here since 1980 as a member of Congress. We've had great presidents. Ronald Reagan, he was great. Trump has done even more, and then thank God he's back. Since the reversal of Roe versus Wade, achieved by 3 Supreme Court justices that he appointed, and Justice Alito, who's from our old hometown in Hamilton, New Jersey, half the states have enacted laws to protect the unborn child, saving about 200,000 or more children. We are winning. Kids are surviving because of that reversal. The bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, pro-lifers are a people of persevering faith in God through prayer and fasting. We will bear any burden. We will endure any attack. We know that the cruel injustice of abortion need not be forever, and that each day, despite setbacks, many unborn children and their mothers have been protected, and they're thriving. We have hope, and we have just begun. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman Smith. Next up, we have 3 inspiring women who will take the podium. First up, we will hear from Lila Rose, author, podcast host, and the president and founder of the pro-life organization Live Action. Following Lila, we will hear the courageous testimony of Dr. Catherine Wheeler. Dr. Wheeler, a certified OBGYN physician who serves on the board of the American Association of Pro-Life OBGYNs. And then last, but definitely not least, we will be joined here at the podium by our youngest speaker today, Miss Hannah Lape. Hannah is a student at Wheaton College and president of Wheaton's Voice for Life Student Pro-Life Club. Help me welcoming to the stage Lila, Dr. Wheeler, and Hannah.
I am so blown away seeing so many of you here. I am incredibly honored and I am so excited. I want to tell you all a story. Last night, I had a debate with a pro-abortion law professor at Georgetown. The room was full of students from both sides. Reflecting on my remarks on my way home, I wondered if I had made any impact on those future leaders. Hours later, I received a text. One of the pro-choice students had changed her mind and was now convinced of the humanity of the unborn child. My friends, this is half the battle, showing up. All of you here, all of you have the power to change minds. At the dinner table, on campuses, at soccer games, you can change minds. You are the voice for those who have no voice. Remember, the science is on our side. Natural law is on our side. The truth is on our side. We must simply have the courage to speak the truth
with love. Courage is contagious. One change of heart can save a life. We must also speak the truth to our elected officials. We can start by demanding that they defund Planned Parenthood. It's time. Give that $700 million to pregnancy resource centers instead. And most importantly, we must urge our elected officials to abolish abortion. Abolishing abortion is the most important human rights cause of our time. 1 million of our unborn brothers and sisters are killed every year by abortion. I am so inspired by the incredible love and heroism of Joan Bell, who I believe is here today, and all the other amazing pro-life activists who were granted their freedom yesterday thanks to President Trump and VP Vance. Thank you, Vice President Vance and President Trump. We can usher in a new golden age for America when we protect every life from the moment of conception. This is our moment. I am so proud of all of you, and I'm so proud of what our nation is and will become by God's grace. Make America pro-life again. Thank you.
Ooh, I'm taller. Have you ever looked back and thought, well, I shouldn't plan any of this for my life? Yet life has a way of getting you right exactly where you need to be. I never planned to be an OBGYN. I never planned to be a mother. But then in medical school, I had an unplanned pregnancy. First thing I thought was, my life and my career are over, because isn't that what they tell us women? But the first person I told said, you're going to be an amazing mother. That's amazing. And more women need to hear that. So I immediately fell in love with this little one. Couldn't believe the love and the miracle of getting to grow a baby. My first rotation back after having my first child was OB. And there I was in the room watching my first birth and just falling apart weeping at the beautiful miracle of life. It became a passion for me. I was absolutely hooked. It was my greatest joy right underneath having my children. But then I went to residency, and in residency, I was introduced to abortion, specifically for babies with special needs that we would have called birth defects and anomalies. And we were told in that situation, it's a woman's right to choose. You're not here to judge. If you care about women, this is one of the things that we do in medicine. So for the first time, we didn't talk about the baby or healing. We instead talked about terminating and ending. And for the first time, we completely disregarded and actually intentionally took the life of one of our patients. That was the way I thought about abortion as I did them, that I was helping women. Until one day, and I can't tell you what happened, why, but suddenly the blinders came off. And for the first time, I actually saw the baby I was about to kill with horror. And for the first time, I actually felt the evil presence in the room of what was behind abortion. Somehow I did that abortion. I don't know how. I never did another abortion in my life. And it's been a long road to become 100% pro-life. Yes, thank you, God. My patients always told me the truth about abortion. They told me about how abortion harmed them, about their regret. They would cry to me about their abortions. But when I went to the literature as now somebody who believed in God and knew the horrors of abortion, I found that tragically they had been lying to me. But my patients told me the truth. I had somebody ask me on an airplane once, how in the world, when you've done something that horrible, do you even get up? And I'll tell you, I came to know Jesus, and I came to know his love. Thank you, God. I came to know his love and forgiveness. And so only because of Jesus can I stand up in front of you today, and only because of Jesus can I tell people the dignity, the humanity, and the amazing miracle of babies, and that abortions not only take innocent lives, but they harm women too, and they harm all of us. So I am here today. If you've had an abortion, as an abortionist, I want you to know how sorry I am. And I know that there are people listening who've participated in abortion in some way who don't yet know love and forgiveness, and that you don't have to carry this burden anymore. And to you, I say, please contact me. I would love to talk with you, the American Association of Pro-Life OB-GYNs. And this is why I march. Life is an incredible, beautiful miracle, and God's grace is available for every single one of us. God bless you.
Well, good afternoon. My name is Hannah Lape, and I am co-president of Voice for Life at Wheaton College. For 40 years, Voice for Life has existed to build a culture of life on Wheaton's campus and to serve local moms, babies, and families. Wheaton is so excited to be here this morning, and we'd like to thank Jeannie Mancini for inviting us to carry the March for Life's historic banner. In 1970, Planned Parenthood committed its first clinical abortion in Syracuse, New York, only blocks away from the hospital where I was born in 2002. This abortion was the first in a decades-long genocide that has taken the lives of 65 million boys and girls in the United States alone. With these 65 million, we mourn too for their mothers. If the abortion industry truly cared for women, it would admit the lethal danger of abortion drugs. It would stop leveraging public confusion for political gain, and because abortion is never medically necessary, it would offer both patients in every pregnancy life-affirming care, mom and baby. Today, we affirm that the pro-life generation will not rest until every single abortion facility in our nation closes its doors for good. We will march until every child is protected by federal law, until abortion is unthinkable, and until every pregnant woman receives excellent prenatal care. With the new administration and the fall of Roe v. Wade, the next 4 years of America's history will be defined either by courage or by cowardice. Abortion is not a states' rights issue to be ignored. It is a fundamental human rights crisis weighing on America's shoulders. Our country cannot be great until the preborn are protected and are protected the right to life. Our confidence in the sanctity of all human life from conception runs deeper than civic responsibility, however. It is a timeless gospel truth. We have the assurance that Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. The risen King who sits in glory at the right hand of the Father is the same humble servant who took on flesh in Mary's womb. He was fully God and fully zygote, fully embryo, fully fetus, fully infant, fully child, and fully man. And so, we celebrate today that every preborn child is knit together in the image of God, and we ask our nation to defend their constitutional right to life, not just for those who are healthy, wealthy, wanted, convenient, or expected, but for every child. Tens of thousands strong, we are a voice for life, and we will speak until heaven meets earth, when death shall be no more. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Lila, Dr. Wheeler, and Hannah. Next up, we have two more inspiring speakers. First up is Beverly Jacobson, joined by her daughter, Verity. Beautiful. Verity is so beautiful. You will see. Beverly will share what inspired her to begin her nonprofit, Mama Bear Care. Following Beverly, and I should say Beverly's husband is also joining her up here. Following Beverly is Josiah Presley, another incredibly inspiring story. I can't wait for you to hear his testimony. I'll leave it at that. So please give a warm welcome to Beverly and to Josiah.
Are there any mama bears here today?
Let me hear you if you're a mama bear. You know that mama bear comes out when someone messes with your kid, right? Let me tell you about when I became a mama bear. I was 5 months pregnant, but I wasn't excited. I was terrified. We had been told that our baby girl had Edwards syndrome, and this is a condition they said was incompatible with life. So I was meeting with a specialty doctor because I needed information. I needed hope. I needed someone to show me a path through this. And instead, this is what I heard. So, you're here to talk about your retarded daughter. He went on to say that if she survived, she would be a drain on the family, mentally, emotionally, and financially. Well, let me tell you, Mama Bear woke up. And something changed in me that day. And it changed the course of our whole journey. Because as Mama Bear rose up, so did hope. A fierce love swept over me, driving me to find the tender care that my baby needed. And look, Verity is here with us today. She is about to celebrate her 8th birthday. Yeah. She is such a gift from God. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. This has not been an easy journey. But as we began to find our new normal, we started reaching out to other families who were on this journey. And over the last few years through our nonprofit ministry, we have been building an army of mama bears rising up to fight for these precious kids. Because these mama bears are told over and over that abortion is the logical next step after they get a prenatal diagnosis. But these mama bears need hope. They need to know that there are people and resources to help them. And most of all, these mama bears, they need to know that their baby bears are a gift from God who deserve to be celebrated. I want to invite you to join the Mama Bear movement. You can learn more and get connected with our ministry at mamabearcare.org. And this is where we advocate for fierce love and tender care. So why do I march for life? I march for life because Verity deserves to be celebrated. Why do we all march for life? Because we know that every mama bear and every baby bear deserves to be celebrated. Thank you.
Good afternoon. On behalf of the Abortion Survivors Network, I want to thank you all for being here today. I'm adopted from South Korea, and 2 months into my birth mother's pregnancy with me, she decided to have a DNC abortion. This is a type of abortion where the doctor goes into the mother's womb and rips the baby apart and brings them out in pieces. At the time, they thought everything had gone according to plan and they sent her home. But it wasn't until a few months later that she realized that the abortion had actually failed and I was still very much so alive. At this point, I was kept and born later on that year. I lived in a foster home for 13 months and then was adopted into the Presley family and raised here in the States. This journey has been a long journey. It's been a difficult journey, but this has been the journey that God has placed on my life. And today I march to be a voice for those who are voiceless like I was all those years ago. Today I march because when I was unseen and devalued, my God had a different plan. And today we march to declare what our Creator has already declared, that all human life is valuable because it is created in the image of God. And I don't want you to miss this powerful point today. Today, it's not powerful, it's not a moving day because of us few up here on the platform. Today is a powerful day because of each and every one of you, because of each and every one of us, individuals created in the image of God and called by our Creator to gather today and in one unignorable voice send an unignorable message that every human life is valuable across all ages, stages, ethnicities, economic statuses, abilities, or circumstances. I leave you with this. In Matthew 5, Jesus, he says this, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden, nor does anybody light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a stand, and it gives light to all who are in the house. In the same way, let your good works shine before others so that they may see your Father who's in heaven and give glory to him." Today, we are shining brightly, and may we continue to shine every day for the glory of our Creator. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, Beverly and Josiah, for sharing your very, very powerful testimonies. Stories like theirs highlight the need for life-saving legislation at the federal level, like the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act that passed just this week in the House, and that the House passed and the Senate voted on just this week. We need to continue to call on Congress and the White House to prioritize pro-life, pro-woman, and pro-family policies so that abortion one day soon becomes unthinkable. Right now, you are going to have the opportunity to contact your elected officials and the White House, calling on them to protect the most vulnerable among us. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do. You've done this before. Grab your cell phone, pull it out right now, hold it up. Okay, I see some of you holding it up. I'm going to start calling some of you out. Mary, Margaret, hold up your cell phones. We're doing a call to action. Yes, thank you. So now I want you to text MARC8 to 73075. MARC8 to 73075. Send a message to Congress that you want them to protect both mom and baby. Brian, hold up that phone. All right. Hold up that phone back there with that white hat. Come on, let's see your phones up there. 73075 MARCH. Text MARCH to 73075 to be a voice for the voiceless. Every voice counts. So send that text MARCH to 73705, and together we'll send this important message to our elected officials. I know you've all been waiting for our next speaker, our keynote. I'm very happy to introduce you to our keynote, Bethany Hamilton, known for one of the greatest comeback stories of all time, having lost her arm to a shark at the age of 13, only to return to surfing 1 month after. Bethany's story of determination, faith, and hope has resounded in encouragement worldwide. Please give a warm Hawaiian welcome to Bethany Hamilton.
Aloha! Woohoo! We are here to celebrate life, the God-given beauty of children and life and the next generation. Oh, my life has had many turns that I couldn't have foreseen or planned myself. And I think all of us have that at one moment or another. But at just 13 years old, when I lost my arm, I thought, I can't surf with one arm. My life felt upside down, confusing. I felt like everything was chaotic. I didn't know what my future held. I needed hope. Someone came alongside of me and gave me hope that I could surf with an arm. They gave me a hint of inspiration that I could do it. And that gave me the courage and bravery to do what I hadn't seen anyone else do, surf with one arm. It ignited a desire in me to try something that I hadn't seen anyone else do. Fast forward, let me share something deeply personal with you. I remember the moment when I first had my very first pregnancy test. I had a similar fear. I didn't think I could do it. I don't know where that came from. I came from a great family, a Christian household. I was married to a wonderful man. And all of a sudden, I was rejecting this God-given gift and beauty that was only a blessing. What made me think that I wasn't ready? I was at the height of my career. We so often put our career before our children, our family, our loved ones. But still, just like the woman struggling to want to keep her baby, I had similar struggles. And it's humbling now when I look back on that. But the society and culture is so strong, filled with so many lies, and we're all hearing it. I believe that even though everyone here is pro-life, some of you may even struggle with this at some point. None of us are above that. These people aren't inherently evil. They're just being fed lies, and the more they hear these lies, the more they believe them. Now imagine, I had all the support in the world to bring this life. But imagine the woman who doesn't have all the support in the world. She's struggling to have hope that she can do it. She's being fed these lies that she can't do it, and that life has no value. She's scared, she's alone, she's overwhelmed. She feels like her life is upside down. She's being told that death is better than life. But who are we to choose death on behalf of someone else? So here's what I've discovered, and I hope that you here today can help spread this message of hope to all the young women who need to hear this. And maybe even more important, to raise up a generation of young men who can come alongside and do the right thing to serve that woman in the way that she needs. We need strong men. Come on, boys, let's hear it. Woo! Now, being a mother of 4, they are my greatest joy, the most beautiful blessing. They are the high of my every single day. Yes, there's challenges, and yes, it's difficult at times, but the beauty sure outweighs the challenge. And I look forward to every single day serving my beautiful children and sharing life with them. Children are true wealth, and they are truly the greatest blessing that God has to offer us, alongside of His grace. And so today, as we rally around a cause that God has called us to protect life and to love our neighbor, to come alongside of that young man and women who are thinking of choosing death, to be that person to bring them hope. When I lost my arm, someone came alongside of me and gave me hope. They reminded me of God's love and that maybe there was more to my life, and who knew what was possible. And so these women, they need hope. They need encouragement. They need light in their life. And we as a society need to combat the lies that are being fed to them each and every day. Get strong on social media, because the truth is, this is where everyone is being fed these lies. And so, to all the women who feel like they're not ready for this, let's be a reminder to them to be willing to try and to put themselves out there, to do what seems impossible. Children are heritage from the Lord. Blessed is the man who fills his quiver with them. So, as we march for life, the greatest gift of all, let us send a message of hope and love to the moms and mothers-to-be and to the fathers, that they too can say to themselves, I don't need easy, I just need possible. Thank you, and aloha.
Okay, and now I'd like to announce a very special video.
Hello to everyone at the March for Life. It's a pleasure to speak to you from the beautiful Oval Office. That's where we are right now, the magnificent Oval Office. And thank you for turning out once again to show your extraordinary love and compassion for the unborn. Each year, Americans of every age, color, and background travel to our nation's capital by the tens of thousands to stand up for precious little babies who cannot stand up for themselves. I am proud to be the first president ever to have joined you in person As you know, this annual march started 52 years ago on the first anniversary of the disastrous ruling known as Roe v. Wade. That unconstitutional decision took power away from the states and the voters, kicking off 50 years of division and anger. But thanks to your tireless work and devotion across 5 decades, that historic wrong was set right 3 years ago. I was so proud to be a participant. 6 courageous justices of the Supreme Court of the United States returned the issue to the state legislatures and to the people where it belongs. It became a vote of the people. In my second term, we will again stand proudly for families and for life. We will protect the historic gains we have made and stop the radical Democrat push for a federal right to unlimited abortion on demand up to the moment of birth and even after birth. Think of that, after birth. And some people want that. Can you believe it? We will work to offer a loving hand to new mothers and young families, and we will support adoption and foster care. We will protect women and vulnerable children. Under my leadership, a reformed Department of Justice will finally investigate the radical left attacks on churches and crisis pregnancy centers, and we will bring perpetrators to justice. We will get them to justice one way or the other. I will also end the weaponization of law enforcement against Americans of faith, and I'm releasing the Christians and pro-life activists who were persecuted by the Biden regime for praying and living out their faith. I just signed that document, and they're being released. One such American was Paula Harlow. At 75 years old, Paula was sentenced to 2 years in prison after praying outside of a clinic. That's why she was sentenced to 2 years. That's what happened under the Biden regime. In her sentencing, the judge mocked her Christian faith while her husband pleaded to be thrown in jail with his wife, fearing she would die alone behind bars. This week, it was my honor to grant a full and complete pardon to Paula and many others who were the victims of this horrific weaponization. Never again will religious persecution be allowed to happen in America. To all of the very special people marching today in this bitter cold, I know your hearts are warm and your spirits are strong because your mission is just very, very pure, to forge a society that welcomes and protects every child as a beautiful gift from the hand of our Creator. Thank you for never losing hope and never giving up. Thank you for your tremendous support. God bless you and God bless America.
Wow, how about that, right? I heard President Trump tell a reporter this morning that he would be watching the March for Life today. So let's let him hear our gratitude for those strong pro-life policy commitments. Thank you, President Trump. We are with you as you continue to stand up for unborn human beings and moms who need a hand. I also want to acknowledge a few members of the President's senior domestic policy team who are here today. These are the people who will be working on the pro-life policy agenda, so you can keep them all in your prayers. My friends, the Director of the White House Domestic Policy Council, Vince Haley, is here. Deputy Director Heidi Overton, and Special Assistant to the President, Wells King. Thank you all for being here and for your hard work. Well, last time I was on this stage, I said I was just getting started, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all back here next year. It is now my honor to introduce to you someone else who is just getting started, and who I certainly hope will be back here marching with us again in years to come. In his first public event since he took the oath of office just a few days ago with his beautiful young family by his side, please help me welcome your Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance.
Let me say thank you. Good afternoon, marchers. Thank you for having me. And it is an honor to be standing with you here today for life. We are proud to march with you. And yes, we will be back next year. The excitement, the passion, the unwavering conviction that every single person here on the National Mall clearly feels. It is deeply moving to me and means more to President Trump and I than I could possibly say. For over a half century, this march has united tens of thousands of Americans from all walks of life to rally for the cause of life in our nation. It is the single largest gathering in the world to celebrate our movement, the victories we've fought so hard for, and yes, the victories yet to come. And I want to personally welcome all of you who have traveled from far and wide to our nation's capital. Thank you for your dedication, and it is an incredible crowd, and it's great to see you today. You know, on Monday, we were forced to move all of the inauguration events indoors because of the bitter cold, and it was cold. But you guys, and it's cold today, here you are outside in an especially frigid January. And I don't think I've ever seen such a joyful crowd out here, particularly during this time of year. Now, as you all know, the event theme this year is life, why we march. And there are obvious answers to the implicit question it poses. We march to protect the unborn. We march to proclaim and live out the sacred truth that every single child is a miracle and a gift from God. Now, each time Usha and I welcomed our own children into the world, we saw firsthand the indescribable beauty of new life, and yes, as you can see, sometimes the behavioral challenges that we had on Monday, but they were good. They were good. And watching all three of our feeling that awe at a newborn child, it is our responsibility to cherish and to protect it. But thinking about the question of why we march, there But thinking about the question of why we march, there are also some subtler, but equally more important answers to that question that I want to reflect on today. Now, the task of our movement is to protect innocent life. It's to defend the unborn, and it's also to be pro-family and pro-life in the fullest sense of that word possible. Now, across my own lifetime, I can't tell you the number of friends and other acquaintances I've had who, facing a pregnancy or the prospect of one, react not with joy but with concern. They wonder, how can they afford it? What will it mean for their education, their career, their relationship, or their family? And I know how many of you in this crowd have devoted immeasurable time and resources to help answer those questions and to lend a hand to young people facing a moment of desperation. But by and large, our society, our country, has not yet stepped up in the way you have. And our government certainly has failed in that important responsibility. We failed a generation not only by permitting a culture of abortion on demand, but also by neglecting to help young parents achieve the ingredients they need to live a happy and meaningful life. A culture of radical individualism took root, one where the responsibilities and joys of family life were seen as obstacles to overcome, not as personal fulfillment or personal blessings. Our society has failed to recognize the obligation that one generation has to another is a core part of living in a society to begin with. So let me say very simply, I want more babies in the United States of America. I want more happy children in our country. And I want beautiful young men and women who are eager to welcome them into the world and eager to raise them. And it is the task of our government to make it easier for young moms and dads to afford to have kids, to bring them into the world, and to welcome them as the blessings that we know they are here at the March for Life. Now, it should be easier to raise a family, easier to find a good job, easier to build a home, to raise that family in, easier to save up and purchase a good stroller, a crib for a nursery. We need a culture that celebrates life at all stages, one that recognizes and truly believes that the benchmark of national success is not our GDP number or our stock market, but whether people feel that they can raise thriving and healthy families in our country. And that brings me back to where we stand today. Earlier this week, President Donald J. Trump stood in the Capitol Rotunda and took the oath of office, becoming not just the 45th, but now the 47th President of the United States, and I know all of you helped. With the inauguration on Monday, our country faces the return of the most pro-family, most pro-life American president of our lifetimes. Now, this is the man who delivered on his promise of ending Roe, giving us a monumental, earth-shattering decision in Dobbs. The man who appointed hundreds of pro-life judges dedicated to defending the constitutional liberties of all Americans. And the man who supported pro-family policies like doubling the child tax credit, which happened during his first administration and which we're going to do so much more on in the second administration. Now he's back, and we're going to do it again. Now, yesterday, President Trump issued a strong endorsement of the Born Alive Abortion Act, ensuring that those babies who survived botched abortions enjoy the equal protection under law, which is the obligation of every citizen to enjoy in this country. With his return to office, no longer will the federal government direct FBI raids on the homes of people like Mark Houck and other Catholic and Christian activists who are fighting for the unborn every single day. And no longer will our government throw pro-life protesters and activists, elderly, grandparents, or anybody else in prison. It stopped on Monday, and we're not going to let it come back to this country. Instead, and I know you all saw the news, the 47th president has already issued pardons to those unjustly imprisoned. And I want to be clear that this administration stands by you, we stand with you, and most importantly, we stand with the most vulnerable and the basic principle that people exercising the right to protest on behalf of the most vulnerable should never have the government go after them ever again. Now, the crowd assembled here in this incredible national mall provides an extraordinary example for our nation. You donate to diaper banks, you help find housing for those in need, you help fund the crisis pregnancy centers that give help to young women and young men in a time of crisis. You guys are the beating heart of the pro-life movement, and you've saved many lives already, and you're going to save more again. You being here this very March is a reminder of the incredible strength and unity of the pro-life movement. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for marching here today. And most importantly, in your works, you remind us that the March for Life is not just a single event that happens on a frigid January day. The March for Life is the work of the pro-life movement every single day from this point forward. Now, it is a lifelong call to action, a moment in time, but every single day that you guys do what you do, from supporting young moms and dads to fighting for the unborn, to working with our legislatures at the state and federal level, you make it possible for us to stand here and say that America is fundamentally a pro-baby, a pro-life, and a pro-family country. Now, I hesitate to give you all advice because I can see there are young and old people who have been in the pro-life movement, some of you for longer than I've even been alive, and I'm grateful to you. But if I could offer one piece of advice, it's a piece of advice born out of my own experience. There was a point when I would get frustrated with people who didn't see what we saw. I would get frustrated that people could look at a picture of a baby on an ultrasound and see not a human being, but just a clump of cells. But one of the things that being a father has taught me, and one of the things that being in politics has taught me over the last couple of years, is that it is a blessing to know the truth, and the truth is that unborn life is worthy of protection. So please go forth, not with frustration, but with joy. We are joyful to march for life. We are joyful to know that that picture on an ultrasound, that is a picture of a baby with hopes and dreams and potential to come. It is a joy and a blessing to fight for the unborn, to work for the unborn, and to march for life. God bless you all, and thank you for having me. It's an honor to be with you.
Wow. Can we give a warm thank you to Mr. Vice President? We are most grateful that you would choose the March for Life to be the first public event in office. Joining us now to lead us in prayer is the Reverend Dr. Matthew Harrison, President of the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod. He has many pastors who are here with him today, and they join him in solidarity. Shortly after we will begin to march, you all have been so patient with our incredible lineup of speakers, but let's give a warm and honorable welcome to Reverend Dr. Matthew Harrison.
Why do we march? Because the blood of Jesus Christ, God's Son, cleanses us from all our sins. Why do we march? Because many consciences in America have died, and we believe in resurrections, and we say, Lazarus, come out! Have I got my guys coming? Have I got my homies? They tell me my homies are coming. We are the pro-life Lutherans, the LCMS, and we have a doxal. They're not coming. So the God of peace, who brought again the dead from the God of peace, who brought again from the dead our Lord Jesus, the great shepherd of the sheep, by the blood of the eternal covenant, equip you with everything good, that you may do his will, working in us that which is well-pleasing in his sight, through Jesus Christ, to whom be glory forever and ever. Amen. Let's rock and roll.
From all of us in the United States Senate, we wanted to say thank you to all of you who are coming out on this cold January day to stand for the value of every single child.
Today we stand united, not just in belief, but in conviction that every human life is sacred.
Being pro-life is about more than words. It's about action.
Your presence is a powerful reminder of the value of every human life.
I'm encouraged that so many Americans can come together, united by one message: life matters.
Now more than ever, we must stand together in the fight to protect the unborn.
The fight for life is the defining moral question of our time. It demands that we be a voice for the voiceless.
More than 55 million Americans will never touch their feet on the soil because of abortion.
And I think that we're in a pivotal time right now. We need people to show up and let their voices be heard.
And one of the most common sense things we need to be doing as conservatives is protecting our most vulnerable.
We march for the conscience rights of millions of healthcare providers, and we march for the rights of millions of pro-life taxpayers.
There is power in numbers, and together we must continue to use our voices to uphold the values.
This is a beautiful event, and it's so encouraging that many of you are maintaining this sacred tradition.
To march for those who God already knows, but we have not yet had the pleasure of meeting.
We march for every baby, mother, and life brought into this world. Because of you, tens of thousands of innocent babies have been saved nationwide.
Together we can improve health care, support new moms, and honor the dignity of every human life.
Your advocacy is turning the tide of our country so that mothers and unborn children can receive the support that they deserve.
I'm proud to be pro-life, pro-woman, and pro-family.
I'm proud to stand with you and fight for pro-life, pro-family policies.
There's no greater cause than giving a voice to the voiceless.
The miles of progress that we've won were achieved inch by inch and step by step.
Children are the most precious gift in the future of our great nation.
I know there is no greater gift than being a parent.
You remind us that our pro-life movement is about love and compassion. Working together, we can defend life and empower women.
And let's continue to fight for the unborn, for the sanctity of life, and for the dignity of our most vulnerable.
But it's because of you that I am inspired that we can create a culture from coast to coast that both values and protects life.
Just know that you have my gratitude for your incredible courage, for standing up for the most fundamental right of all, the right to life.
Your efforts have helped enact policies that respect the value of every person, especially vulnerable mothers and children.
We thank you for that. We thank you for your commitment.
Thank you all for standing up for what we believe in. And thank you for everything you will continue to do to fight for the rights of the unborn.
I'm with you, and we continue to work for life.
Thank you. Every life matters, and you're showing it by being here today.
God bless all of you, and God bless the mothers and the unborn babies.
God bless you in your stand. Thank you for your witness, your courage, and your tenacity.
Keep on lifting up your hearts in prayer. Keep on lifting your voices in the public arena. And keep on marching for life.
Let's continue moving forward, united in our mission to protect and support every life.
Every single child, born and unborn, is valuable. Valuable in the sight of God and valuable to all of us. Thank you for coming out to be able to march for life.
Thank you, Senators. And as we're beginning to line up for the March for Life, we have a few last things happening. First, I'd like to thank Pastor Harrison for that beautiful prayer. The March for Life is committed to building a culture of life not just here in our nation's capital, but in communities across our country through our state March program. Our ongoing efforts to build a culture of life require significant resources. Your support today will empower us to expand our reach, to inspire more men and women like you, and to defend the most vulnerable citizens in this country, the unborn. For those of you who are watching live and for those of you who are getting ready and lining up to march, I can't tell you how much we would appreciate your support of the March for Life. Your support of the March for Life will help us to be able to do more state marches. We would be so very grateful if you would consider today making a financial gift of $20 by texting GIVE, G-I-V-E, to 73075. G-I-V-E to 73075. Together we can make a difference in every state, one step at a time. And to tell you just a little bit more about our state marches, our very own Senior Director of the State March Program, Erin Getz, will join us here on stage shortly. And here she is.
Thank you, G.D. Mancini, my incredible president of the March for Life. Can we hear it for her last March for Life as president? Let me get a round of applause for Jeannie. What a record year 2024 was for the State March program. We marched in 16 capitals across the country, double that of the year before. We are so grateful to our local partners who helped make this possible. It is incredibly inspiring to see thousands of you marchers come together here for Mom and Baby from all the way in Connecticut to California. Many of our incredible partners and affiliates are here on stage with me, so I'm going to ask them to wave. We have California, we got Ohio, we have Virginia and Pennsylvania, Connecticut, Oregon, Kansas, and Kentucky. Let's hear it for our state marches taking fight to the capitals across our country. I am also surrounded by other incredible pro-life leaders from across the nation who work each and every day to build a culture of life in our communities. You can see their names on the screens to my left and right. Each organization they represent meets a different need in the pro-life movement and in our local communities. With over 65 million Americans lost to abortion and millions of women and families wounded, the work for all of us is not over. We now honor each and every one of you in your life-saving missions and invaluable work. Thank you for the incredible work you do day in and day out to make abortion unthinkable. As we begin to march, you'll hear a special, or you won't, you just watched that, and a special rendition of God Bless America by Matthew West. I also have a few administrative announcements. First, if you have trash, please dump it here on the dumpster on the mall. Do not throw it on the ground. Please follow the guidance of our marshals who will point you in the right direction to participate. I know some of you have already went that way, but follow them. They're in white jackets and march safely. Now, are you ready to march? With Roe versus Wade gone, our mission continues. We will keep being a voice for the voiceless. We will keep mobilizing in the states. We will keep uniting here in D.C. And we will keep marching for life. And we will keep speaking out until abortion is both unthinkable and illegal, until the day that abortion is no more. Now is the time. Let's march. Thank you, everyone.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans wide with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet
country and world changed on June 24th.
With the overturn of Roe and the Dobbs decision, the states are all the more important.
After the Dobbs decision, abortion policy is returned to the elected representatives of the people. And so being here in state capitals to stand up for life is more important than it's ever been before.
We are absolutely thrilled to welcome you here to the 3rd annual California March for Life.
We are here today to be a voice for the voiceless in Michigan, here in Lansing.
Now is the time to change hearts and minds in the state of Colorado. This was a wonderful day for an inaugural Colorado March for Life.
7 out of 10 women who get abortions are coerced into abortion.
It can be easy to fall into despair and hopelessness just given the legislation and the laws that we're up against. It's important to speak truth, to go out there, to be that voice, to be that hope, to be that light in the darkness.
And while the march began as a response to Roe, we don't end as a response to Roe being overturned. Why? Because we're not yet done.
The main goal here is abortion becomes unthinkable.
Group. Tell me a little bit about what it means to you to be up here marching for life.
I'm very happy to be here. I'm very excited to represent my school. You know, being Catholic is pro-life, and so being pro-life is very joyful and brings me great joy to be here.
Absolutely. How do you witness to life in your generation? We were just talking before, sometimes it can be challenging. Sometimes in the culture you see pushback to these sorts of views. How do you witness to people?
Just by example, you know, I try to live life with joy by Christ, with my group, with my school around me, and being part of that community, it helps. It helps, makes it easier to be pro-life.
And I understand that you're going to be marching soon, but you had a march earlier this week. This isn't your first march. Yes. Tell me about that march back in your community.
So our school held a march. I think the fifth or sixth graders put it on for us. They had different stations around, and we walked, and we prayed for life, like the elderly, the unborn, the disabled, and you know, being able to walk, almost like just coming before that was, you know, it was a blessing, and it gave us kind of like a preview of what was going to happen here, and so it was a great blessing.
Keep up the great witness for life. This is what you see out in this crowd, people enthusiastic, and we're going to be bringing you more coverage up at the Supreme Court, so stick with us.
All right, thank you so much for that, Mark. And we're going to take a look right now at the route the marchers will be taking. It's a little bit further than it was before, but, you know, it's actually great, too, because it really gets you a little bit closer to the scene.
Yes.
Well, the rally site itself, I think, was pushed a little west.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, that will increase the distance, yeah. But the witness remains, and that's the important part.
Yeah, absolutely.
Indeed, and what a witness it is. We have so many resources covering this wonderful event. EWTN reporter Roselle Regis is on the mall talking to participants. Roselle?
Hundreds of thousands, millions of people.
We're still here at the rally site. Speakers are about to go up, but right now joining me are students from Ave Maria University. So tell us, why are you marching today?
I'm marching today to be a voice for those who didn't get the chance to have a voice, and be here surrounded by so many awesome people, but just like my age, and just being, so yeah. I've gone a few times, so it's awesome to be back in DC, but this is the first time I'm coming back with my friends from university. So.
Awesome, and tell us why you're marching. It's your first time.
Yeah, I'm marching for moms, for babies, and for my grandma. She was very active in the pro-life movement, and we're all wearing her pins today, so it's really special to be here.
Oh, that's so precious to have your grandmother here too.
Hello, I'm marching for those who have no voice. As Catholics, we are there to defend those, in this case, the unborn, and I'm just so excited to be here among all these amazing people to stand with the unborn.
I'm marching today for those who don't also have a voice. voice for all the moms, babies, everyone out there, because no matter how you're conceived, everyone is worth of life. Well, thank you so much for being here. I love that you guys are here. Enjoy. Back to you guys at the studio.
Thank you, Roselle. Now let's head over to EWTN News Capitol Hill correspondent Eric Rosales.
Yes, how are you? I tell you what, it's just an amazing sight to see the next generation of pro-lifers out here, young, and we've seen pictures of tiny little kids out there with their families. It's just amazing. I'm currently on the balcony of the Capitol Rotunda, or the Cannon Rotunda, that is, and we're expecting the marchers as they start on down Independence Avenue. They're going to continue to be coming right past me in about an hour or so. Marchers will be here. It's thousands of marchers from throughout the country. As we saw, Mark Irons went and spoke to a number from a variety of schools, to churches, to families, to individuals, braving this chilly, cold weather to support life and the dignity of human life. And we all... We are towards the end of the march area. Just about a block away is the U.S. Supreme Court, and that is where the march actually starts. Now, the theme of this year's march, Life, Why We March, bringing together thousands to the nation capital just to show their support for the unborn. And this year is unique. As we heard prior to the march, we heard a message from President Donald Trump, but we also heard in person from Vice President J.D. Vance, along with a number of GOP leaders from both the House and the Senate, Senate Majority Leader John Thune, Speaker Mike Johnson. I mean, they're all out here showing their support, and then they even had a video from a number of the lawmakers out here. So it's just an exciting time. We're going to bring it to you live as they continue to keep walking up and showing their support for the unborn. Back to you in the studio.
All right, thank you so much, Eric. Well, last week, Biden said that the 28th Amendment to the Constitution, known as the Equal Rights Amendment, or ERA, is the law of the land.
Well, the Catholic Church opposes the decades-old amendment and says it could threaten religious freedom and end pro-life laws. Mississippi Attorney General Lynn Fitch, known as the woman who overturned Roe v. Wade, shared with us her thoughts on the ERA last week.
That claim he made today, certainly judicial, administrative, legal, there's no precedent. So this is barred from happening. So as the National Archives has said, there is no claim, there is no opportunity. And we just see this as continuing to pander to the radical, far-reaching left agenda.
And Carrie Gress joins us now to discuss the ERA. She is an author and a fellow at the Ethics and Public Policy Center, as well as a scholar at the Institute for Human Ecology at the Catholic University of America. Carrie, thanks so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here.
So let's talk a little bit about the background of the ERA. Fill us in a little bit.
So the ERA was really, it's 1972 legislation. This is very old and very dated at this point. But the idea was really to try and get women to be treated on a level playing field with men. That was kind of the ideological idea, but really in effect what it was trying to do, especially with things like abortion and the draft, was to try to make women almost exactly like men. And so that was really why the big push was for it. But these are really ideas that came from communism and from socialism, this idea that we can have these great workers and we can get rid of women's fertility and really decimate actually the family and the faith as well. So the roots of it are pretty dark and ugly, actually.
And Carrie, you've already touched on this, but could you expand upon why the church is so against this?
Yeah, I mean, certainly for reasons of abortion, but also because of the fact that it really denigrates the beautiful distinctions between male and female, the importance of children and the family, and it really makes work an idol. And I think this is really what feminism has been pushing for almost well over 100 years, is this idea that work is more important than our children and our fertility. And so you can see the damage that it's done, now that we're several generations in. Back in 1972, people didn't really see the deep damage that was happening with all this. But I think now that we're looking back, we're seeing that it was really not well-founded on, proper human anthropology.
Yeah. Let's talk about Biden's efforts. His efforts to ratify the ERA. I'm sure you have a lot to say about that.
Oh, goodness. Well, I just think the timing is amazing. When even Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg is like, in order to do this right, we have to start over. It just feels like a really, poor effort to try to push something through. Again, something that's so old, something that parts of it have already happened in terms of gay marriage and many of the abortion things. But there's also a lot of problems that I think people didn't realize. Like, it would actually take away some of the preferences that women-owned businesses have, with government contracts and things like that. So there are actually a lot of problems with it. It's not, it gets much more sticky than, just that declaration of, again, very old legislation.
You just described the roots of the ERA amendment, the ERA, as very dark. It really is a product of feminism. That was, and you've written for years about how feminism has failed women.
Yeah.
Can you make that connection?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in order for women are told that their careers are the most important thing, and in order for that to happen, in order for them to be able to compete with men, they have to have their fertility thwarted in one way or another. And so abortion is really the engine, or really what makes that possible. So feminism is the engine for abortion. If we start helping women really think about motherhood in a much more beautiful and compelling way than what we've seen over the last 50 years, I think they hold up the Handmaid's Tale as the example of what they think pro-lifers want, which of course couldn't be any further from the truth, and yet so many people have come to believe that that's really what we're fighting for. So I think the key is really to start unmasking the damage that feminism has done and seeing why it is behind the pro-choice movement, and how it is that we can start really rebuilding, again, through the beauty of the family, through the beauty of womanhood and motherhood.
Yeah, and we've heard so many people, actually, women mention that. Well, I thought about my career, and how does this work into me being a mother? How can I do that also?
Right.
It is really sad. I know that you have a piece that's published today in the Federalist. Talk to us about that. It's about the overturning of Roe versus Wade. And you said it's really not the silver bullet that we pro-lifers.
Yeah, I think for decades, really, we thought that once Roe v. Wade was gone, that we would really have this pro-life culture. And I think because of the way Dobbs was argued, it went back to the states. And so we're seeing the fruit of 50 years of women being groomed and told that their children were actually an enemy and an obstacle to their happiness. And we haven't heard in the culture, anything that really has promoted a beautiful and appropriate and true vision of what motherhood is. And so that was really kind of the discussion was, how do we help women start to understand that many of the things that feminism is promoting, including things like promiscuity, that are really driving abortion numbers, how do we help them appropriately, gauge those things, that these are not going to be edifying and building our lives in a way that's, going to be fulfilling and happy.
Yeah, well, Carrie Gress, thank you so much.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Great to have you. Well, as we can all see the iconic shot of the march, let's go out to Teresa Tomeo, who is always in front and center of the action.
Hey, Matthew. Hey, Tracy. It's interesting, and Abby, it's interesting right now because we walked all the way from 17th Street, and Matthew, I heard you talking about the distance, because we're now in front of the Capitol. Before, we were right at the Washington Monument. And what's really interesting about this is the banner isn't even near us yet. It's a little bit behind us. You can see this group of people to my right, and this, I'm thinking, is either the pre-march or the march before the big march, or it's the people that could not get into security, because when we were walking up Constitution Avenue, it took us about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. It's about just over a mile. It's a nice hike. We're all getting our steps in today. But there are so many people here that there's this large group of people that have started up already. And as I was saying earlier when we were at the rally, at the Riser, there is, I think, a different mood this year because of the respect the administration has chosen to show to the pro-life movement yet again. The Trump administration, and many people are here for the first time, which is pretty exciting. But what I noticed is I got the sense, and I asked a few people, I got the sense of how that is much bigger. I said, how do you think? Do you think it's larger? And they said yes, because when we were standing on that riser right before my last interview with Bishop Calibut, we could see people coming from far away, crowds of people trying to get into security. And then when we started to leave the mall, we really could not get out. We had to go all the way down the street at 17th and come all the way around because the crowd was so large. So I think this is going to be one of our largest ever. Can't give you a guesstimate in terms of a number. It's too early. But I'm thinking, since it's after 2 o'clock, that we're going to be here for a while. And we'll be here, and we have some great interviews coming up if our guests can ever make it from the rally stage, because a few of them were stuck back because of security. But we'll be interviewing people as we go along, and it's great to be here, a beautiful day in Washington, and this is why we march, for life.
Absolutely, and we're so great to have you out there for us, Teresa. Great to see you again. And it's great to see, a witness to the pro-life movement out in our nation's capital. It's really such a beautiful celebration every year.
Yes, the work of the pro-life movement is often built, however, in the small personal moments, helping one mother at a time choose life. Take a look at the life-affirming work of pro-life pregnancy centers across the U.S.
The mission of this home is to help these women become
self-dependent.
Maternity homes like St. Clair's Home in Greenville, South Carolina, serve new mothers with unplanned pregnancies and even accommodate for moms who already have children.
It was actually a maternity home that, empowered us to raise our own children, which was great, and I felt like the Lord was leading me to this place.
The home provides for material needs as well as spiritual needs. St. Clair's makes it a priority to start everything with prayer. Jesus in the Eucharist dwells in their home chapel as a place of spiritual refuge.
So this room, I call it the heartbeat of the house, because everything should start in prayer, and this is the place where we hope the moms come when they feel distressed.
Maternity homes and pregnancy clinics can be life-changing for these women. And for neighborhoods where pro-life clinics are scarce, there are clinics on wheels.
We have pregnancy care teams that follow the women all the way up to even 2 years of age of the baby.
Holy City Mobile Pregnancy Clinic offers free services to expectant mothers in multiple neighborhoods in Charleston, South Carolina, who may not have options nearby. They also provide financial support and other alternatives to help these new moms choose life.
If she would like to adopt the baby out, we can help with that. It's free. If she needs help with just any kind of bills at home, economics at home.
Holy City is not the only mobile pregnancy clinic on the road. An organization called Save the Storks has 100 buses around the United States offering resources to women facing unplanned pregnancies.
But each unit is custom built based on what the community needs are. And these units really go out to the community where women who are considered the least of these can receive free services with licensed medical professionals on board the mobile medical clinic.
It's no secret that pregnancy centers need financial support and donations to keep their doors open. An accessible solution to this issue could be government assistance, but for one pregnancy center in Dallas, Texas, they do not want funds from the government. They'd rather stay true to the pro-life mission.
We would rather be poor and be able to help convert souls to Christ, save the spiritual life of the mother and the physical life of the baby, than be able to be rich and take in money from the government in order to, to have the funds. So we don't worry about that.
Another center in Alliance, Ohio is offering expectant mothers and fathers the tools they need to be successful parents now and in the future.
We provide education on parenting, pregnancy, fatherhood, life skills, and then we have support programs such as our baby boot camp for labor and delivery, our mom-to-mom and dad-to-dad support groups.
Whether it's the in-person care or anonymous donations, it all has an impact on these mothers.
Donations show our moms that somebody out there who doesn't know them loves them without asking for anything in return.
Community pregnancy clinics, the largest network of pro-life pregnancy centers in Florida, have provided free care and resources to pregnant women for 50 years. Their 5 office and 2 mobile clinics are focused on finding women who are abortion-minded and abortion-vulnerable, which often are young college students. 8 out of 10 abortion clinics are within walking distance of colleges.
Our effort is to reach out and not wait for them to come to us, but to go out into the highways and byways, to go in front of Planned Parenthoods with our mobile units, to go to the universities, to really be where abortion-minded women are.
There are more than 2,700 pro-life pregnancy centers in the United States, according to the Charlotte Lozier Institute, providing support for both mother and child to flourish.
And Kristen Hawkins, president of Students for Life of America, joins us now to talk more about the great work of pregnancy centers. Kristen, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Does the average American actually understand or realize the significance and the work of pregnancy centers around the United States?
Absolutely not. When our Abortion Free Cities campaign is going out and door knocking in neighborhoods, educating neighbors about pregnancy centers, bringing diapers with them, we have found that 75% of the neighbors do not know that there's a pregnancy center nearby. 75%. just a door knock, some social media. We can easily increase that, you know, by 10, 20% in just a few weeks. But it's a major problem. We did some polling this January, as we do every year, with Gen Z and Gen Y voters. Eliminating abortion becomes a 70% issue, which is huge, if every young person knew a pregnant woman would be supported if she chose life. And I think that's the whole people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care approach. If we as a pro-life movement did a better job of promoting all of the resources we have out there, I have no doubt in America we would see a massive mind shift when it comes to voting for politicians who support abortion protections and restrictions and other things like that. And that for me is one of the biggest, I think, calls I give on college campuses all the time.
And Kristen, what would you say is a turnaround rate when women do discover that they have these resources if they were seeking abortions previously?
Well, the turnaround rates differ based on the pregnancy centers that are working with women. The ultrasound is an incredible educational tool for women. We can see rates as high as 60 to 80% of minds change when they see their child via ultrasound. I know personally on college campuses, we see, I would say, not so much a mind changed rate when we talk about resources, but I call it more of a mind softening rate. You know, my biggest challenge on college campuses, my biggest enemy a lot of times are the ear pods. Getting students to take the ear pods out of their ear and have a conversation with us so we can share with them about our army of love. And what we have found is when we educate about the local pregnancy centers, our standingwithyou.org website where a woman can go and find all of the government funded and private resources that are nonviolent, if we can get them to take the ear pods out of their ear, have that conversation, they'll listen to what we have to say when it comes to, let me talk to you about the violence of abortion. Let me tell you about Planned Parenthood, the nation's largest abortion vendor. And I think it's really that first step on that road of conversion for those young people.
Yeah, let's talk about that, about the youth movement. I mean, do you see it growing?
Absolutely, and I think we're seeing that here today in the frigid cold. They canceled inauguration outside, but not the March for Life, right? These young people are excited. They're ready to go. We're now on more than 1,500 campuses across the nation, trained more than 230,000 young people. I was at Liberty University this week speaking to 10,000 young people. It was incredible, and these kids are on fire. I think the challenge for us in the pro-life movement is that they really want to see action. They want to see innovation. I think what we saw from the Vice President today speaking specifically about helping families in need and in crisis is extremely important to this generation. If you ask any of the pro-life students that we see right there on camera who are out there marching, they will say their mission is twofold: changing hearts and minds about the violence and supporting mothers and families so no woman ever again feels like she has to choose between her life and the life of her child. And so it's, you know, as you said in the earlier segment, there is no silver bullet here to ending abortion. It is a very big job that we have ahead of us. The beginning of the end of Roe of abortion has started when Roe was tossed into the ash heap of history, but we have a long road still to go.
Yeah, let me ask you this. You mentioned the ear pods, but are there any other challenges to get the youth movement over to the pro-life movement?
Well, we've seen a huge onslaught of misinformation in the past 2.5 years. I cannot tell you how many times we've been on campuses where a young girl will come up screaming at me and say, you want women to die in back alleys. You want women to die in the parking lots of emergency rooms. And you're like, excuse me, who have you ever met that said this in the pro-life movement? Where is this coming from? It's coming from a social media influencer, a Hollywood elite, somebody in the mainstream media who has repeated these lies and myths. For example, we have in every single state where there is an abortion prevention act, even in states like Oklahoma where Students Life Action passed the Life at Conception Act, which completely makes all abortions illegal. In every single state, there is a provision in those pro-life laws to save the life of a mother if her life is truly at risk during birth, during the pregnancy. There's 0 states that do not allow a mother's life to be saved. Yet, I hear this over and over again on college campuses. And so that's why we're on TikTok. It's why we're on Instagram. I had to do a TikTok dance last night. It's why we're on Instagram. You know, it's why we have to be there, because that is where, sadly, our culture is. That's where minds are really being formed and shaped on this issue. And I was so honored. We had over 250 million views just on just my videos on campuses last year. And so, and I'm not that cool, in case you don't know. But just getting out there and being courageous with speaking the truth. And that's why I think some of the speakers today, you're talking to the young people in the crowd, of you can make a difference. You really can make a difference as a young person in this fight.
Yeah, for the record, we think you're pretty cool.
Yes, we do. Cooler than us.
Well, Kristen Hawkins, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, let's get another look at what's happening outside at the march. EWTN's Roselle Regis is talking to folks on the ground.
Joining me now is a group from Detroit, Michigan. Jimmy, can you tell us where you're from and what you're doing here?
Yeah, we're from Detroit, Michigan. We're all part of the St. Thomas Eparchy, and we all serve liturgy, serve youth group together. We're a very tight-knit group. We love to serve and love the Lord together and be able to grow in fellowship and also the love of the Lord all together. It's a beautiful gift.
And why are you here? Why are you marching today?
Honestly, personally, I know it's all for the movement of the babies, but I also would like to see people understand the love of Christ. And I feel like the deeper you understand the love of Jesus, the more you'll give your life to him, and the more you'll dive deep into understanding why we march.
Amen. And you, why are we marching today?
I'm marching for the unborn babies and the people who don't have voices to speak for themselves.
And you, sir?
Yeah, with what Faith said, we're marching for the voiceless. Our parents chose life, so we're here to defend life as well.
And you, it's your fifth time.
Yes, this is my fifth time here, and honestly, I love being in communion with all the people who are in unison with me in my faith, and just to be able to march for people that don't have a voice is just an amazing thing to do.
Well, thank you so much, you guys. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
I'm giving it back to you guys at the studio.
Another pro-life issue that has come to the forefront this past year is women's rights and protections.
EWTN's Monsi Alvarado explains how a rewrite of Title IX almost took away those protections.
A federal court in Kentucky ruled that the Biden administration's Title IX rule was unlawful and vacated the entire rule, meaning that it basically wipes it off the books and it cannot be applied anywhere nationwide.
A federal court struck down the Biden administration's rewrite of Title IX nationwide on January 9th, ruling that the Department of Education exceeded its authority by implementing the amended rule.
This is a huge victory for women, girls, and families, and making sure that the original purpose of Title IX is preserved.
Enacted in 1972, Title IX prohibits educational institutions or programs that receive federal funding from discriminating on the basis of sex. Women had faced exclusion from some colleges, universities, and had more frequent tenure denials than men. The law also aims to protect women from sexual harassment. The Biden administration changed the language of Title IX to include gender identity.
The Biden administration attempted to unlawfully redefine sex in Title IX to include gender identity, which would gut women's equal opportunities in sports and also threaten their safety and privacy.
The changes would open girls' bathrooms and locker rooms to allow boys who identify as girls to use their facilities and play in women's sports.
Women and girls deserve to compete on a level playing field. They deserve to have access to their most private spaces without males having access to those.
The Biden administration and many LGBTQ+ advocates said it was all about supporting the transgender community and inclusion.
Anything that we can do that says that to folks that they belong, that they have an equal right to this space or community.
But the rewrite didn't stop there. It also attacked freedom of speech.
Not only did this impact women's privacy and safety, but it could even be used to tell students and teachers alike that they have to use inaccurate pronouns. It could even be used to tell school officials that they have to hide information from parents about a child that may be expressing a different identity that doesn't align with their biological sex.
And for girls who say they're uncomfortable having a man in her locker room, well, that can be deemed discriminatory.
Alliance Defending Freedom filed 5 cases, and there are several other cases across the country, and those cases have received preliminary injunctions in 26 states.
The controversial changes sparked legal disputes in states across the country. Some 26 states challenged the rewrite.
We're encouraged to see a federal court reach the right ruling to reaffirm Title IX as it was originally intended, and ultimately to protect privacy, safety, and fairness for students and young women and girls across the country.
And back with us now is attorney Mary Rice Hassan, Senior Fellow at the Ethics and Public Policy Center. Thank you so much for coming back on with us. We appreciate it. So let me ask you this. For now, women and girls are safe after the federal judge threw out Biden's overhauls of Title IX. Do you see, though, that issue of trying to change women's protections, do you see that going away?
No, it's not going to go away. In fact, one of the things that happened in the wake of the judge's injunction, which kiboshed, the Biden rewrite all across the country, was we saw pushback from the educational establishment, teachers union, from some of the progressive states, and many of them, unfortunately, have duplicated in their own state laws and policies the language that we saw in the Biden Title IX rules. So we are going to see continued conflict over this, but it was a wonderful thing to see the executive order from President Trump, because it went right to the heart of the issue. What does it mean to be a male or a female? And he defined it, and so that alone is going to do some good.
Women's sports has been much in the conversation. So can you talk about the impact of removing Title IX protections that would have on girls and women in high school sports and collegiate sports?
Oh, sure. I mean, the difference between males and females when you get to sports is quantifiable, and there are plenty of people who have quantified it. And I was an athlete through high school and college, and I remember the days before Title IX, and Title IX gave women an opportunity, because it said, all right, we're going to put money, we're going to make these teams have their own coaches and buses and things that we didn't have before. And I think people early on in the trans revolution, people were dismissing that this was really going to have an impact on women's sports, saying, well, how many men are there who are really, and now there's been, someone's keeping a total of, over 200 titles that have been taken. But I worry, too, about the young girl or woman who's the last spot on the team, who doesn't make the team because there is a man who's presenting as a woman. So it's a huge thing for women's rights, women's opportunities, that this was saved and protected.
Absolutely, and we've seen women's and girls teams actually stand down for participating with another team when there's a transgender male on the team for fear of their own safety even.
And two Catholic high schools in particular took stands and said, we are not going to put our girls, our young women, on the same court or field with these men because it's not safe. And so I was really proud of that, that they were willing to send that message too. It is fairness and safety, but it's also just respecting the integrity of, we know what a woman is.
So where exactly do we stand? Several states have passed laws to protect women's sports, including Texas, Montana, and Florida. But where do we stand in regards to perhaps future federal lawsuits?
So here's the thing with the executive order that President Trump issued. One of the things that does is it says the official policy of the federal government is that they're recognizing sex, male, female, and define those very clearly. So that alone, the order also said we are not going to fund gender ideology. We are not going to promote it. We are not going to foster its inculcation. In other words, educating, indoctrinating kids in this. So I think we're going to have a real battle on our hands because there will be pushback at the state level from the public school system. But it sounds like this administration is ready to go toe-to-toe to protect the truth, uphold the truth, the reality of male-female differences, and protect women.
So important.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here with us. And don't go anywhere. We're going to have you back on. So.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Well, that's right. Regarding the dangers of gender ideology, President Trump promised to essentially put a complete stop to the previous Biden administration's controversial and many say harmful transgender policies. In fact, Trump made it something of a centerpiece of his campaign. White House correspondent Owen Jensen reports.
Well, good afternoon on this March for Life, beautiful day. Earlier this week, on Inauguration Day, President Donald Trump signed an executive order, has a bit of a long name. Let me read it here for you. It's called Defending Women from Gender Ideology Extremism and Restoring Biological Truth to the Federal Government. That's the title. Supporters say it acknowledges the truth. Now, here are some remarks from the president during his inauguration on Monday, just hours before he signed that executive order.
This week, I will also end the government policy of trying to socially engineer race and gender into every aspect of public and private life. We will forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based. As of today, it will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female.
Now, Trump's new executive order also states, quote, "My administration will defend women's rights and protect freedom of conscience by using clear and accurate language and policies that recognize women are biologically female and men are biologically male." It goes on to say, "Federal funds shall not be used to promote gender ideology." With that, I'll send it back to you.
Well, thanks so much, Owen. Well, as opposition towards gender transition treatments for minors grows, the stories of detransitioners, people who ultimately regret and reverse transitioning, can be some of the most impactful stories we'll ever hear.
Yeah, certainly. As a teenager, Prisha Mosley was convinced that she was born in the wrong body. And at the encouragement of her doctor, she underwent a double mastectomy. And now, as a young mother, she advocates for other children who were swayed by the lies of gender ideology. She recently spoke with EWTN News. Let's take a listen.
I was previously in treatment for the anorexia, and when I said I'm fat and I was dying of malnutrition, they said, no, you're not fat, you know, let's fix your mind, that's a mental thing. And then when I went in and I said that I was born in the wrong body, they said, yeah, you're right. And then based on no tests and no facts, other than the singular fact that I hated myself, that was the only real tangible evidence we had. I wish these laws had been here. Doctors lied to me, and I believed them, and those doctors needed to be unable to do what they did to me.
All right, we're back with Mary Rice Hassan. It's really hard to hear that from a young woman, your doctor actually telling you to do this to yourself. Let's talk a bit about these so-called treatments for children who have gender dysphoria and the harms that they do.
Yeah, one of the things that has really become apparent is that there is no good medical evidence that there's any benefit. Now, we know you have to start the conversation earlier. Is this something that's good for the person? Is it in accord with their nature, the truth about being male or female? And you can't change sex, so of course the answer is no. But for those who are not starting there, they're saying, well, let's just look at the evidence and kind of weigh it. It's become very clear the evidence is not there. And in fact, this is nothing more than a terrible experiment on very vulnerable people. And I will add one thing here. Planned Parenthood has their fingers in the mix to a significant degree because they now are one of the primary providers of cross-sex hormones in this country. And it's the same slogan, my body, my choice, you know, all of those things. So I think people on the pro-life side can be very grateful for this transgender executive order, but the pushback generally against the transgender movement.
Well, many reports and studies are now indicating that these don't actually treat gender dysphoria, and we're seeing countries such as the United Kingdom ending these surgeries and even hormone treatments. Mm-hmm. Is this a trend? Is this something that is likely or could possibly gain traction here?
Yeah, so we saw this start in Europe about 2020. We saw with Sweden, Finland, and then the UK did the major 4-year research, exploration, substantive evidence reviews. But we've seen other countries that have been traditionally very progressive, Denmark, Norway, even the Dutch are starting to rethink some of this. So that is clearly where the trend is internationally. But the pushback here in the U.S. is really significant because the gender industry is very embedded in our children's hospitals, unfortunately, and it's a profit-making enterprise.
Yeah. We heard from Prisha. She said that she had anorexia, and we hear some of these stories that children suffer from other things, but yet they're pushed to really mutilate their bodies to the point of no return. Why aren't they going towards psychotherapy or some type of behavioral therapy instead of going to an operation or other types of treatment?
Right. So one of the reasons for that is because the transgender movement has tried to normalize the idea that hating your body and wishing you could change it is perfectly normal. And so the idea that you would question when a child says, I'm uncomfortable with my body, or I don't feel like I fit in as a boy or a girl, that is seen to be invalidating, if you will, of the whole transgender claim. But you're right, the real response and the better response is to engage the child with a simple question of, why do you feel that way? What's going on? And to start to look underneath, because we do see statistically that young people who express transgender identities are much more likely to suffer from depression, anxiety, adverse childhood experiences, loss, grief, just significant issues. Our hearts should go out to them. And yet, instead, the scalpel, the hormone prescription pad, that is the response of the gender industry because they benefit.
Yeah, and it's very sad because from that point, there's really no going back.
Yeah. Tremendous harm is being done.
Absolutely, Mary. Thank you for what you do. We appreciate it. Thanks for being back again. Thank you. Well, another pro-life issue that was thrust into the spotlight this year, in vitro fertilization. It came after the Alabama Supreme Court ruled that frozen embryos are human children. Three couples filed a lawsuit whose embryonic children were killed in a lab accident.
Eric Rosales joins us now with the controversy that continues with IVF. Eric?
That is correct. Yeah, statistics show since 1978, over 8 million babies have been born in the United States using IVF. That's about 2% of all births. Now, since the Alabama, that is, Supreme Court ruled, at least 11 states in the U.S. now require insurance plans to cover IVF procedures. And right here up on Capitol Hill in Congress, the debate continues.
Every parent across the country who wants to bring life into this world and maybe struggling with infertility or others but wants to use IVF to create the miracle of life, bring it into the world, has a certainty that that's going to be available to them.
Last May, Republican Senators Katie Britt and Ted Cruz were pushing the IVF Protection Act. The new bill would have guaranteed access to IVF procedures and take precedent over any state laws. But some say the technology raised moral questions.
There's a great deal of ethical concerns about IVF itself, but minimally there should be safeguards to protect those embryos when they are cryogenically frozen. We got to treat with respect these embryos. Life is from womb to tomb.
If Republicans really wanted to make sure that IVF was available, they would support our effort to make sure that IVF is in every state. I am confident that our legislation will do that. We are not going to accept any legislation that puts in law personhood.
Although it passed the House, the bill failed in the Senate, so several states are now taking matters into their own hands, like Alabama. A new law last year now protects in vitro fertilization providers from criminal prosecution for, quote, damage or death of an embryo. Alabama Governor Kay Ivey quickly signed the bill into law, saying, quote, let me say clearly, Alabama supports growing families through IVF. Pro-lifers say Alabama Supreme Court got it right.
The Alabama Supreme Court ruling shows that these children die in huge numbers through the IVF process. And so that's a really great service, I think, to the public to realize that if we're pro-life, we should be defending life from the very beginning.
In Louisiana, state lawmakers were trying to pass legislation to ensure IVF remains illegal despite a strict abortion ban. But lawmakers decided to drop their efforts and revisit it later this year. They claim language in the bill would have left doctors who performed IVF treatment open to criminal or civil lawsuits. Now, it is important to note that the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops agrees with the National Catholic Bioethics Center and opposes IVF in any form. They say children have a right to be born to a married father and mother, and they add that although IVF is well intended, it treats human beings like products and can result in loss of life through discarding of unneeded embryos. So the battle continues, and it continues up here on Capitol Hill. Meanwhile, a number of people are starting to make their way, thousands, up here in Independence Avenue as the March for Life continues. Back to you in the studio.
All right. Thank you so much, Eric, for that. Now we're going to go back out into the field to Teresa Tomeo. Hey, Teresa.
Hey, girlfriend. So I just grew about 3 feet. Could you see that? I'm standing on a riser. They put me on some boxes because they have this very tall, wonderful young priest, and he is Father Peter Olstein from Cardinal Newman School in Columbia, South Carolina. And I understand you guys are pro-life, right? Yeah! All right, Father, great representation. Is this your first time here with this group?
With this group, yes, it's my first time. We've had a good time. Wouldn't y'all say so? Yeah.
So tell us why you think this is really important as someone as a chaplain at a high school to be with these young people and to bring them to an event like this, especially in the way the world is today.
Yeah, I think it's just good to be public witnesses, doing it as a group, And there's something about doing it as a community that helps us understand how serious it is, and really just the importance of it. And that's what I'd say. Something about doing it together is just really important.
Now, first time here? How many of you are here for the first time? Okay. And you look like you're doing okay with the cold weather. I know South Carolina's a little bit different, right? Yeah, but they're having fun. Come here, young man. What's your name? Come on over here.
I'm Josh.
Hi, Josh.
Hey.
How you doing? You like this pro-life march so far?
I'm having a lot of fun doing it. Yes, ma'am.
What does it mean to you as a Catholic student to be here?
It means a lot, pro-life and keeping everybody alive.
Okay, all right. Well, you're alive, and we got to keep it going, right?
Absolutely.
Father, in terms of choosing the students, how did this whole event come together with bringing 35 students?
That's actually a good question. You probably have to ask one of the teachers here who put it together. But if I had to guess, y'all were probably excited to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're excited to go, and they wanted to support the cause.
Okay. And your name, honey?
My name's Katie Wilkinson.
Okay, and how has it been so far? What was the rally like? Did you enjoy all the speeches?
It was so much fun. We got to see our vice president speak, and I know a lot of us were really, really excited about that. Yeah, it was just so much fun.
So how will you go forward as a young person? And all of you, I want you to think about this when you go home, okay? From Auntie T, okay? Think about what you're going to do next year and future years for life. What do you think?
I think just, speaking up as a young person, going out into the world as, legal voting age citizens and speaking out for what we believe in is just so important, especially, hearing it from the younger generations and bringing it up as we get older is just very important.
Okay, thank you, Senator.
I know, she's good.
Well, God bless you guys. I want to ask you a question. Answer this. I'll just put two words out. We are pro-life. One more time. We are pro-life. Okay, give them a round of applause. Give yourselves a round of applause. Way to go, South Carolina. Woo! I love my job.
We love you.
Yes, we do.
And joining us once again is Dr. Joseph Meany, Senior Fellow at the National Catholic Bioethics Center, who joins us again to talk about IVF. Dr. Meany, there are a lot of couples who have trouble conceiving, and a lot of them, Catholics included, who turn to IVF. What are the moral implications for that decision?
Yeah. So, my wife and I suffered for 9 years from infertility, and it was really tragic because every time we would go to the doctor and want to discuss how do we overcome our infertility, all we would hear about was IVF, unless we had a really good, Catholic doctor or a good pro-life doctor. But yeah, it's absolutely terrible. When you look at the IVF process from just an objective perspective, it is expensive, it is inefficient, and it kills human embryos at an incredible rate. So it's not pro-life, it's not good medicine, and it doesn't treat infertility. So it's really sad.
Yeah. Well, according to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, the latest data show that 86,146 infants were born in 2021 using ART, or assisted reproductive technology, which IVF represents 99% of. There are hundreds of thousands of embryos of babies created through IVF that are frozen across the country. They're known as snowflake babies. The sheer number of lives then that is being held is enormous. And what protections exactly do they have in these facilities?
Yeah, almost no protections at all. The terrible thing is that most IVF clinics and fertility services treat the human embryo as an object. They don't treat them as persons. They don't think, no second thought about just, discarding them. And at every step in the way in the IVF process, there's death, which is terrible.
And what impacts does IVF treatment have on a...
We've always said never sell a house in the winter. That's not true.
Within the banks. So when he called, the water was coming up, so I started moving vehicles up to about 5:30 in the morning, and she was in the house, and I pulled up to the steps and I said, hop on the fender and I'll get you out. Well, he built a beach house on stilts, 5 times higher than the floodplain. And she said, well, he said I'd be okay. So I'm staying with the dogs. So I went to higher ground with some vehicles, hers included, and the water covered everything. But I'd already seen it come around both sides of my place. So I got my blind and deaf dog and a bag of valuables and took up off the side of the hill behind my house, and then was heading to the cemetery back there because I knew it was open, because there was trees falling and uprooting. It was raining.
You never saw anything like that?
No, I've been through floods all my life around there. Never nothing.
Never been anything like that. But you're okay, right?
Yep. House destroyed.
Yeah, well, we're gonna help you out. We're gonna help you out.
Appreciate it. Thanks for being here.
Anybody else? You guys okay?
Our day that morning began a little taller with some trees falling into our house, which our house is goes back 4 generations, 80 years, and never came close to flooding. And we woke up with trees about 4:30 or 5 in the morning, and our house sits 3/10 of a mile back off the road. And the water, we've had flooding and such in the lake, but nothing like we saw. And like most everybody else, we moved 5 vehicles this far up, and lawnmowers and everything else, and the water started coming in the house. And when I got up to about ankle high, we have a loft. I got her up in that and tried to gather what you might want, which was totally random. And then when it made it to the loft and started getting up to about her hips, I built a little makeshift ladder, and we got out on our roof, and we spent 4 hours on the roof. I had a little baggie. I did notes on my cell phone to my 2 kids and my 2 grandkids, and something to identify me in case we were lost in it.
Did you think you were going to make it?
No.